I'll give it 6:30. It's segment 3 arrival, I'm betting.
Segment 3. All right. Yeah. So we'll look forward to hearing from and catching up with him when he decides to join us this morning as well. Again, let's get into a little bit of the college football stuff from over the weekend. The big news was Nebraska going to Illinois, getting up 9-2, and then just absolutely being dominated. 28 straight points from Illinois. Patrick, did you have a chance? I know you were busy on Saturday. Did you have a chance to catch any of that? Watch any of that? Just from the standpoint of Nebraska. Scott Frost, to me, Nebraska football is still or is a very powerful thing. I remember in the 90s when they were just beating people up and down the field. Tom Osborne left, and now they're a shell of themselves. And Saturday was really, really bad from a Nebraska standpoint. And if Scott Frost was looking to build any momentum in year number 4, it definitely did not start that way.
That's a new low point, right, for the program? Or have they already been at rock bottom?
I think there's been worse things, and I said year 4, it's year 3. Or no, it is yeah, it's year 3 for him. 2018, 2019. I guess no, it is year 4. I'm right. 4-8, 5-7, 3-5. Patrick, I don't know if that's rock bottom just yet, but it's really close given that Illinois had a new coach in Brett Bielema, that Nebraska made some incredibly awful decisions. The punt fielded at about the 1-yard line to basically start the scoring to get things going. I don't know if it's rock bottom, but I think the broader question or the broader big picture storyline here is this: when you bring the native son home and you basically say, all right, these are you got the keys to the car. This is the big time car, the big time red Ferrari. You're in charge of it. You're in charge of bringing us back, making us special again. And 12-21 now in 4 years in Lincoln, 9-18. But Saturday was really bad at Illinois. If it was rock bottom, I would believe it. I'm also not sure they can't sink a little bit lower.
That's the thing. I mean, you saw the tweet, right? That suggested Will Muschamp as part of the fix.
Yeah, I think that was just somebody saying that they could go lower.
No, well, yeah, exactly. So I just can't see a way. I'm not familiar enough with the program, but I know that they sell out every week. Their fan base is incredible. They've got the history, but it just doesn't seem like this thing's ever going to turn around for them. I don't know who could come in there and turn it around. Like I just don't. I don't know what needs to be done. Is it because there's not enough talent in Nebraska? Is it because they're not in the Big 12 anymore and they have to go try and recruit kids from the Midwest that don't want to come to Nebraska? Is it because you'll never get kids from the Southeast or the West Coast to come to Nebraska? Like, I don't know how they're supposed to fix that thing. The deeper they get or the worse they get, the more losing seasons they keep stacking on top of each other, the further away the glory days come. It's just never gonna work.
And I think it's the same. I will say Saturday made me think for Nebraska for any program, it is about getting the right coach in. And I look at Matt Campbell and what he's doing at Iowa State. Now, whether you can hold on to the right coach and make him be yours long term, then becomes the multi-million-dollar question. But I look at Nebraska, the right guy, and I don't know who the right guy is. And I think now that's the big. If you're in Nebraska, that probably is what concerns you more. Is if not Scott Frost, then who? Whom right. is out there that you
he was
get
perfect, right?
That was the guy that everybody would have said, oh, there's no way that this could not have been that this would not work. And I don't even know if it would not work, but you look at it to point, they haven't had a winning season yet under Scott Frost. And Patrick, just some of the decision making on the team, dumb penalties. It reminded me a little bit of a certain coach that was here in Columbia for the last 5 years. Bad penalties at inopportune times, up and down quarterback play. Adrian Martinez, who I think's been there since after Scott Frost left, or maybe a year or two. It feels like he's been there forever. Adrian Martinez made a few plays here and there. The 75-yard touchdown run certainly made a few passes, but he also missed some critical passes that would have either led to a touchdown or a key first down early in the game. Defensive breakdowns when it mattered most. mean, it was kind of one of those things where we've seen that storyline, and it makes you wonder what kind of job Scott Frost had done getting his team ready.
Well, yeah, I guess I didn't watch it, but like were they the more talented team? Like, I don't even know. I didn't get to watch. Adrian Martinez has had all sorts of hype. Like, this was supposed to be the year. Like, you've got your fourth-year quarterback. He's played a ton of football. Everyone thinks he's really talented. I saw he made some plays on the ground. I think he had over 100 rushing yards and I think only one touchdown through the air. But he's supposed to be talented. Like, this was the year, right? This is the turning point year?
To make it worse, it's year 4 for it's year 1 for Bielema. And Brandon Peters, the starting quarterback for Illinois, goes down, if not on the first series, the second series. It was real early. Arthur Sitkowski comes in. Now, in defense of Arthur Sitkowski, that would be similar to Hunter Johnson going down Friday night against Michigan State and Ryan Helinski coming in and winning the game. Sitkowski was a highly thought of 4-star recruit out of the Northeast. I remember South Carolina was recruiting. Several Southern schools were recruiting him very hard. He ended up going to Rutgers. Now, at Rutgers, he stunk. I think it was 8 touchdowns and 20 interceptions total during his career. Yeah, I say a 4-star. I'm giving you the highlights of him because once he got to Rutgers, he was very bad up there. I think that was under Chris Ash's watch, but and he transferred out when Greg Schiano came in. But he comes in and, man, he looked like a Heisman candidate for some of that game on Saturday afternoon. It was great to have college football back. It was great to see just the fans in the stands, the pageantry. I'll admit I flipped over and watched Hawaii and UCLA. Patrick made sure to check some of that out. Chip Kelly getting the Bruins out early and looking very impressive in that game. That'll set them up for a big showdown with LSU. This coming weekend, LSU has moved out of Baton Rouge. They are moved over to Houston for the week to practice and gear up and get ready for that game before they head out to Pasadena. Thoughts and prayers this morning with the folks of Louisiana, New Orleans. Patrick, I know you've got some family down there. Absolutely incredible seeing the images come across last night as I was sitting there watching some of the things that are taking place down there.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, they're hoping that we were just talking about this last night because I think mostly everyone in my family just decided to stick around for this one. But they were confident that the levees were holding up, and they were it was going to be a lot of rain and a lot of wind, so it was just going to be a wait and see deal. So I'm hopefully be able to check in later on today and see how everyone's holding up. But yeah, thoughts and prayers with them. It was a wild seeing some of the Weather Channel reporters or news people on site. It was very windy, very rainy. So yeah, hopefully everything goes all right with them.
Yeah, so we got that going on. Certainly, and again, thoughts and prayers as that continues to turn throughout the state of Louisiana. 803-404-6100. How you can join Patrick Perrett and I. We got the over/under set that Tim Hill will show up sometime around 6:30 this morning. So we will catch up with him when he joins us coming off of the 107.5 The Game golf tournament on Friday afternoon. It's great to see a lot of people out there and be able to hang out, get back out, talk a little football with everybody. Benji Getsy, myself, Rock, and Daniel Lucas. We put up the good fight, Patrick, but I don't think you were around. I think you'd already left to find out if I gave you an over/under of 1.5 knee braces in our group. Over/under 1.5 knee braces. And you know I had mine on.
I know you had one. 3 other guys, someone had to. I'll take the over.
We had 3.
Was it 4 for 4?
We were at 3 out of 4 on knee braces, and
who's the one that didn't?
Benji. Benji did not have. He was the healthy guy of the group. So Rock, Daniel, myself, and Benji, we put up a good fight. I think Tim knows the exact winning team. Dominated there with a 21 under. Scored 21 under. Shot a 50 there. So a lot of fun on Saturday afternoon. Friday afternoon. Big thanks again to Charwood Country Club for putting on that golf tournament. 26 teams. It was fantastic. Panera with a fantastic breakfast. Little Pigs, excellent lunch. Lots of great prizes. Big thanks to everybody again to coming out. And if you want to join us this morning, if you were out there You want to weigh in a little bit, 803-404-6100, how you can do so this morning. Craig, Waddy, LeVar, DC, all up with us. A couple hot takes already flowing in, Travis. DC saying Nebraska is awful. Yep, that sounds about like what everybody's at. LeVar weighing in, LSU is not Hawaii. That game is going to be real different. I agree. Patrick, I don't know if you had a chance to watch that UCLA game again. I know you were bouncing around.
I saw there was no one in the stadium.
Yeah, no one in the stadium. And then Craig saying, how about Cantlay in the playoff? That playoff was phenomenal. Patrick, I know you're not a huge golf fan, and I'll admit
I'll always watch a playoff though. I turned it on when I heard there was a playoff.
And Bryson hit a couple poor shots here. They knocked one in the water on, I think, the third playoff hole, but then knocks it to within a foot and a half, which was absolutely incredible. It was the back and forth there between these two guys, and we'll get into a little bit. It kind of helped that Bryson decided to be Bryson DeChambeau and yell at Patrick Cantlay for walking during his lining up of a shot on the 14th hole, which seemed to turn, I would say, a twosome that maybe weren't great friends, that were just golfers, into a little bit more of an icy cold relationship as they would play 15, 16, 17, and 18, and then multiple playoff holes. But it was one of the best golf scenes I had seen in quite some time. Are you familiar with that course up there? Is that anywhere kind of similar to where you're at, or do you?
It's about an hour from where I am, but I know a lot of people went up there to watch that. But I did decide during that playoff, watching the guys or the whole crowd of people continuously sprint from the green back to the tee, and they're all racing each other to be the first one to the green and to the tee during that playoff. It's like, dude, I don't ever want to go to a golf tournament if that's what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so hot. Everyone that I talked to went to this tournament. It was like, yeah, it was so hot. You're walking so much. It was actually kind of miserable.
Yeah. So there was that. So if you want to weigh in on the golf, anything over the weekend, some high school football taking place, certainly we'll get into a little bit of that. And yeah, Travis weighs in. Travis, I haven't researched this story that much. I've seen people point this out, and I'm not sure, just because I know I used to work with ESPN and the recruiting guys that were affiliated with it, so I have a hard time believing this. But Travis weighs in on the live stream. One of the craziest sports stories occurred Saturday. If you're not, was it Saturday or was it Sunday? I'm not sure. I thought it was Saturday. If you're not familiar with high school, Bishop Sycamore out of Ohio, they lied to ESPN and said they had a lot of D1 players, so they got on TV versus IMG, and at the 30-0 mark at halftime, ESPN realized they were duped. I did see where they offered to have a running clock in the second half, and Bishop Sycamore turned it down. But yes, apparently they lied, said they had a lot. Now, I haven't gone through and researched the rankings and looked to see if there was maybe a guy who transferred or if something happened, kind of the same thing as South Lake Carroll when Quinn Ewers was expected to be shown brightly on Thursday night, and obviously he's up at Ohio State now instead. It was Landon Sampson, the South Carolina commitment, who really made a name for himself. But yeah, weird situation over the weekend. That's all right. That's all past us. We head on into the true start of college football season. Bill Gunner, Patrick Pratt, Jen Jensen Morris. We'll carry you through until Tim Hill arrives. You're listening to The Early Game on 107.5 The Game. And waking up and realizing you got to host the show. All right, let's see if we can get Jen involved here.
That's a couple of these for Tim now.
What'd you say? I'm sorry. What'd you say? I think he's not awake. Right. That is what we see. All right, I'm sending you this link to your email. I think this is correct. Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. Like, waking up. Go ahead. and I'm still dealing with this ankle and foot injury, so I'm kind of groggy and so we're off and running. Oh, man, it's not good. I did not leave the bedroom yesterday. Travis, we shot good. We were 12 under through 13, and I think 13 through 15, we were right there with 2 par 5s and a par 3. We were right there to make a run at it. Then all of us just kind of wore out. We birdied. Honestly, there was something that happened, and we realized because we figured 21 or 22, and something happened. We didn't make a putt that we needed to for eagle. I think we didn't make a chip. I'm trying to think of holes. 18 was downhill. 17, the par 3, we parred. 16. Oh, I know. 15. So on 14, on number 14, we were 13 under through 14. That's exactly what it was. We were 13 under through 14. 15 was a par 3, and we parred. We were off the green and lived out 2 putts, had some ovals, and ended up at that point we were 13 through 15. The next hole, 16, was a par 5. We had the eagle to have a chance, and we birdied to get to 14. And so we shot 15. We shot 15 under. But yeah, we parred that par 3, and then we birdied the par 5. I knew we were done. Everybody just kind of wore out. Couldn't keep the momentum.
Yeah, this Ohio story is actually crazy.
Is it true? Are you looking that up a little bit? I saw some people speaking about it.
It was their second it's only their 3rd year ever as a program. They went 0-6 last year.
All right, there's your little research this morning. Yeah, that does seem like they lied then. I know most of those guys would, or I guess I used to, or I can't believe they were just like, oh, okay, yeah, y'all are good, and they didn't do any research.
Sounds like a lot of teams might have said no, we don't want to play in this game.
Hey, Jen. Oh, she lost her. At the end of the show, I need you for like 4 minutes. I got to cut a couple spots for Charwood. And you can just email them to me, and I'm going to email them to Rock for his approval. I see you nodding, so I assume that's good. Okay, thanks.
$58-0. Goodness.
I did not stay up for Cleveland, Atlanta last night. Sunday night football, and it looks like I had a good choice there.
How many more preseason games need to be played at this point?
They're done. Preseason done.
Everyone is done. Okay.
Yep.
I checked out as soon as Washington finished. So we got a week and 4 days. Yeah, next Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like this Bishop Sycamore school is no one knows about it. People from Ohio are upset.
I'll let you get into this a little bit.
I don't even know how to.
What was the final of the game they played?
58-0.
Good Lord. What?
Yeah, Craig, it is prop bet week. I picked out my college football playoff yesterday.
Oh, you got the college football playoff? Off and running on a Monday morning, August the 30th. Happy Monday to you. Hope you're up and at 'em this morning. Just a few days. Just like next Monday, most of you, hopefully a lot of you, will have the day off. It'll be Labor Day, and we will get to enjoy a day off, kind of, I guess, the unofficial end to the summer, but Labor Day weekend, the official start to college football season. And it is, plus we'll get into some different thoughts we have as we head into the season. Patrick, I think you still have your list of picks that we need to make, over-unders.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if Tim Hill will join us for that here later this morning. But we have a bunch to get into. Am I correct? You still have that sheet from Friday afternoon?
Yeah, all the SEC over-unders. Yep.
Yeah, we've got plenty to get into. You said, did I hear you correctly there as we were coming back, you picked out your college football playoff? Are you comfortable with that now?
I think I'm comfortable. Yeah, I was trying to go through all of like the top 5 or 6 teams and see who's going undefeated, and it's hard to find losses for people. I think this could be a year that I mean, it's every year. Has there been a year yet in the college football playoff where we've comfortably put 4 teams in and said, yeah, this is exactly right, no one else belongs? Is it always controversial at the 4 spot?
I think it is. I think to an extent it is. I think that it's just kind of human nature or our nature. It's just like in the NCAA basketball tournament. You put in 68 teams, and the first graphic that goes up is the 4 teams that got left out of basically the play-in tournament. I think that's just typical human nature on our part to say, all right, well, who did we snub? Who should have been in that got left out? And so I think that's exactly what happens when you look at the college football playoff. The 2020 final rankings for the college football playoff rankings had Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Notre Dame. What the argument was, maybe Texas A&M. I think Notre Dame was 10-1 with their lone loss to Clemson in the ACC championship game. Texas A&M was 8-1 with their lone loss being to Alabama. So maybe had the argument there. I guess some people made the argument for number 8, Cincinnati, down the line to be included, given that they had gone undefeated. But I don't know how much of an argument there really was last year. I didn't mind the Notre Dame inclusion there in the college football playoff poll. So let's go with yours. What do you got? Who are you going with your college football playoff?
Well, I was trying to find who's going to beat Notre Dame this year because their schedule is never that difficult. But I really would like for someone to beat Notre Dame. Maybe it'll be Cincinnati. Cincinnati goes to South Bend, but I think Notre Dame will probably win that game. But yeah, I was going through it, and it's really the big 5: Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma. Clemson, I think. Well, I guess I'll trying to think of the best way to do this for radio. I think Oklahoma is loaded. I think Oklahoma is going to go undefeated. Oklahoma is nasty. They have a really strong defensive line this year too. It might be one of the most well-rounded Oklahoma teams since Lincoln Riley's been there. So I'll have Oklahoma in the playoff, undefeated. Ohio State, their really only tough game is Oregon. Penn State's also coming to Columbus. Oregon and Penn State both coming to Columbus. They go to Michigan. I think they'll probably go 13-0, so they'll be in. Clemson will go 13-0. I think Clemson's going to beat Georgia in week 1 because Georgia's really banged up. So that will basically be Clemson's only challenge the entire season. I would say maybe at Pitt is like the toughest game on Clemson's schedule outside of that Georgia game in Charlotte. So it'll be those 3. And then I think what I'm going to pick is undefeated Alabama meets one-loss Georgia in the SEC championship, and Georgia wins that game. And one-loss Georgia goes to the college football playoff over a one-loss Alabama, and Cincinnati just gets snubbed because of that loss in Notre Dame. So it'll be number 1 seed Clemson, number 2 seed Ohio State, number 3 seed Oklahoma, number 4 seed one-loss Georgia. And 4 seed will win the college football playoff this year.
All right, give me that again. I was looking for my pad because I should have written that down as you were going through all that.
The number 1 seed will be Clemson. After beating Georgia, they'll just stay on top all year long. They'll be 13-0. The number 2 seed will be Ohio State, who will be the undefeated Big Ten champion. The number 3 seed will be Oklahoma, who will be the undefeated Big 12 champion. And the number 4 seed will be Georgia, who will be 12-1 after a week 1 loss to Clemson. They'll run the table.
Okay.
And one-loss Alabama, whose only loss will be in the SEC title game. They'll be the number 1 seed all year long, and then they'll lose in the SEC title game but not go to the college football playoff.
So I feel like maybe we should have, if I'd have known you were going to go with that, because as I was sitting there listening, maybe we should have gone with our hottest hot take of the season. I'm going to go with you. I actually think Alabama will not be in the college football playoff this coming season, not because they are not good enough, but you look at that schedule, and for everybody that says Alabama typically plays a soft schedule, I don't think that that's the case this year. There's a lot of guys they've got to replace, but if you just go down the list, they're probably better than everybody on probably better than everybody on their schedule. But what I see here is kind of a same situation where week in, week out, everybody gets fired up to play Alabama. They get everybody's best shot. And I realize that there's not a bunch of bye weeks like there was in 2010. South Carolina clipped them coming off of a bye week here in town, 35-21, the last Eastern team to beat Alabama. But you look at it, the Miami game, the Florida game is Florida right now is number 13 nationally on the road at Texas A&M on October 9th. That's coming off of a game. Look, Mississippi can score. You know, Mississippi, how good is the defense? I don't know, but Lane Kiffin, I think he can throw a scare into Nick Saban and that defense. It wouldn't surprise me for them to put a little scare in them. And then Alabama have to go to Texas A&M. You got a game against LSU, who I think is going to be extremely improved. And, you know, we'll see what Auburn is at the end of the season. I'm going to side with you on this, Patrick. I know Todd, our resident Alabama fan, will be very displeased with both of us. We'll try and convince us otherwise. But I think this is the one year. There's a lot of reloading to do. Ultra talented players coming back for Alabama. I'm not saying that they aren't one of the most talented teams, but when you play that kind of schedule they're going to have this year with Miami, you do have that trip to Florida. I think Mississippi is a team that you keep an eye on to see what Lane Kiffin's got going there in year 2 with Matt Corral. Then you throw in the trip to Texas A&M. Is this the year that Jimbo Fisher finally last year was good. Last year really kind of turned the corner for them, 8-1, finishing there in the top 5 in the college football playoff ranking. But is this the year they really make the next step? And that next step is beating Alabama. You got the LSU game in there as well. And then just somebody else that comes out of nowhere that could maybe trip up Alabama. I'll go with you. I think my college football playoff, I'm going to have it a little bit different as I look at it. I think you're right. I think when you talk about Clemson and Georgia, that line is down to 3 right now. Clemson is favored by 3 points this coming weekend. Here's the thing. And I'll pull it back up. If I tell you that Clemson wins, but they win a low-scoring game, Would you believe that? Because both defenses, Clemson's defense is very good. It's probably one of the best they've had there under Dabo Swinney. Georgia's banged up, but they're banged up on offense, not on defense. And I think that you got Georgia's wide receiver issues. And then I think Clemson, you're looking, if it's Will Shipley, maybe Will Shipley comes out and becomes that guy this weekend that Clemson can rely on at running back. But when we look at that game, to me, it leads to being a defensive slugfest between the two teams. I'll get you the over-under here in just a second as I scroll down. 52.5. So roughly 28-24-ish is about what Vegas is calling as the score, 28-24. Patrick, you going under or over 52.5 there this weekend?
It's not a huge number, so I hate saying under, but I do feel like it will be a defensive battle. I might have to go under there. Just when you look at, the injuries for Georgia's super banged up. Both their tight ends are probably not going to play in this game. Eric Gilbert, who knows what's going on with him off the field, but Darnell Washington, I don't think is going to play. Dominique Blaylock is hurt for them. Their center is hurt. George Pickens obviously tore the ACL. So when you look at that Georgia roster or what it's going to look like at the end of the season, it is not going to be the team that takes the field at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte this Saturday. So I don't know how Georgia's going to be manufacturing points. I think JT Daniels is talented, but I'm high on Georgia mostly because of their receivers, and I think he'll be able to distribute, not because he'll be able to just make things happen by himself. So I agree with you that it's going to be a defensive battle. I have no idea what Clemson's offense is really going to look like with DJ. But when you're talking about game one against the best defense in the country, which I think Georgia is the best defense in the country, Clemson's going to very much struggle to run the ball against them. Like, the best thing about Georgia is this defensive line. Jordan Davis is just probably the best defensive lineman in the country at just stopping the run. Like, he is just an absolute roadblock there. So I don't know who that lead back for Clemson is going to be, like you were saying. So I think I do just have to go under, which I hate to say.
Go under the 52, and I did.
It's just not a high number to go under.
No, I did go with the under in the Illinois-Nebraska game over the weekend. Do you want to guess what the over/under on the Illinois-Nebraska game was, or do you know?
I guess I'm assuming it's low. Was it like 48?
It was 52.5 is what I got it at. You know what the final score was?
It was under, right?
30-22. That would be 52 points. Thank you, Nebraska kicker,
wow,
for your incredibly incompetent ability to make an extra point. I will appreciate that.
When was that? When in the game was the missed extra point?
That's right. For those that didn't, for those that are wondering, want to yell at Patrick, not his fault. He had some family things to do, and he was on the road. Nebraska drove down the field. They took a Will Muschamp esque about 7-minute drive at the end, down 30-16.
Yeah, I did see that.
And scored with, I think, about 3 minutes to go to make it 30. They scored. By the way, we'll get into that. What happened. So, Patrick, if you didn't see it, they drive down the field. They get down, and I think it was on third down. They complete a little pass out, and the running back runs and is right down at the first down marker. And so it's 4th and inches. But the referee ends up giving them a first down. And the spot of the ball, well, Nebraska doesn't pay attention to what the call was. They run up to the line on first down, and quarterback sneak it. So it's on first down, they run a quarterback sneak to get the first down. Second and third down, they messed up. I'm thinking, hey, I might have a chance at this under. On fourth down, Illinois has a massive coverage bust. I mean, just 2 wide receivers from the left just run wide open into the end zone, and basically anybody could have made that pass and scored a touchdown. So I'm thinking, well, there goes that. And so with about 3 minutes to go, the place kicker comes out for Nebraska and manages to miss the extra point again. So
it was at the very end. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it was quite the experience. Quite the college football was back this weekend. It gets into full effect. RL, I did watch Eastern Illinois and Indiana State. That was something to behold. The announcing team of that. There was.
How did the Coons look?
We'll talk about it. Paulie on the text line has hit me up and asked what the spread is. No spread. No spread just yet. I'm looking here across different websites, but no spread just yet. Actually, Paulie, I think because Eastern Illinois had a game this past weekend, that spread will probably come out later. I guess since it didn't come out last night or yesterday, it'll probably come out later. Actually, I found one. This is on Action Network. Action Network, for those of you wondering. ActionNetwork.com has this weekend spread. Over-under is 55.5, and the current spread is South Carolina is favored. Excuse me, the opening was 55.5. The over-under is now 58.5, and the South Carolina spread, South Carolina is favored by 43.5. That is according to ActionNetwork.com. I do believe that's a semi-reputable network. 803-404-6100. How you can join us. If you're on the live stream in a few minutes, you're going to see old sleepyhead himself. Tim Hill has made an appearance. It appears he'll be joining us. He just, it was such a big weekend, such a big golf tournament. He wanted to get a little extra rest. So Tim Hill will make an appearance on our program. We'll continue on. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
You guys didn't get the memo. Today's show started at 7. I forgot to tell you.
Our email system stinks
These days.
You went way over the over. Patrick said, what did you say, 6:30 or 6:33?
6:30. No, but I did say take the over. He'll join us in the third segment, and that's what he's doing.
That is true. Yeah, that's a good point.
You guys not letting Jen in?
Huh?
You guys not letting Jen in on the live stream for a reason? Is she punished?
No.
I think she was doing something. She's there. I don't know if she's. Or I guess that's true. I guess I didn't think about that. I guess we have to actually add her, don't we? I didn't think about that. You always do that. I thought she just add herself. Hey, until the in bed music went off, I wasn't sure if I was hosting the show or you or the.
Nice.
Because I'm still hobbling around pretty good, and
oh yeah,
my ankle actually blew up. Saturday I laid on the couch all day. Yesterday I never got out of the bed.
Oh. Well, it helps for show prep, huh?
You know what? In terms of like catching up on sleep and not doing anything, given that the next 13 weeks will be full go nonstop, probably was the best thing to happen, but I'm still hobbling pretty good. I think my knee was the problem, but unfortunately, because of the way I walked on Friday, I think my ankle is now more of the problem.
So I'll ask the stupid question. Are you going to see anyone about this?
Well,
okay.
Maybe. It depends. So I know the knee problem. That goes back a couple years ago when I came in and had the knee problem, and I went and saw somebody, and they're like, you've got a torn meniscus.
Mm-hmm.
You need to you're gonna have surgery. But when you have surgery on you and I were talking about Darren. I think it just had his surgery, or not too long before this happened. But from what the doctor told me, once they start cutting on your meniscus, that's basically your first steps toward knee replacement surgery, because the meniscus doesn't grow back. And so what I was told years ago is if you can deal with it, like unless it's a monthly problem, try to hold on as long as you can.
Yeah. Injections and stuff.
Huh?
Injections and stuff.
No, it's just going to blow up like this, and you just got to rest it and then do a little rehab and kind of, do whatever you can to get it healthy. But I would say I would like to say the next 10 years, but it may be sooner that I'll have to have knee surgery. I'll have to have meniscus surgery, and then just kind of hope that, I don't know. Last weekend might have just been a freak thing, but I could have twisted it pretty good in the waves and not known it. Right?
Yeah.
The surf, I thought last weekend, it was funny when I got out there in the ocean that day, I was like, surf feels a little bit rougher, because I was kind of watching Austin a little bit closer, because he goes into the ocean like a baby deer on ice. He can't stand up to save his life. So I was just kind of worried about him going under and, ending up about 30 yards down the beach or something. But the problem is I went out there. My ankle wasn't bothering me this much last Friday, but then I went out and walked, played 18 and walked. And my knee looks a lot better. My ankle doesn't. It looks like I have a badly, badly sprained ankle.
Huh.
Sorry, just watching the Big Eastern Illinois highlights here.
Oh, what? Y'all didn't watch it? The announcer for that, you unfortunately need to hear the announcer for Indiana State. The color guy, I guess, the play-by-play guy seemed very professional. The color guy, there was no professionalism involved.
Straight up homer, huh?
I'm not sure if he played last year, if he should have been on the team this year, or if they just found the biggest student in the parking lot and said, "Hey man, we need a second guy. Come on."
Wow.
All right, Tim, lead us through here.
Oh, I was just gonna listen.
Makes sense.
All
right, guys, we're up.
So first opportunity to watch college football, Bill, you took full advantage. I think, Patrick, you were more like me. It was on, but you weren't going to change your life for it. And apparently Nebraska wasn't really going to show up until about the fourth quarter anyway. And it's the same old movie for Scott Frost is the word out there. Bill, what do you rate that Nebraska-Illinois game 1 through 10 for those of us who did not sit glued to our couches watching that thing?
Well, if I'd have not been basically confined to the couch because of an ankle swelling, I probably would have gone out of the lake and would have had it maybe. I would have checked in periodically. Now, with that being said, I'll give it an 8.5, man. The storyline on that. Look, number one, Nebraska. Illinois scores first. Nebraska decides to field it. They do what everybody does. They like to field a punt in the 1 yard line, run back in their end zone, kind of play around from that standpoint, and then get a safety. Nebraska then rattled off 9 straight points, and you thought, okay, Nebraska's probably going to pull away with this thing. As a matter of fact, during that period, Nebraska on a third down intercepted a pass at about midfield and had all the momentum and looked like they were probably going to be able to go up 16-2. But then not only did they get a personal foul call, they got a taunting penalty, 30 yards of penalties, which set up Illinois to tie the game. So it's 9-9 with – I'd have to go back and look at the exact timing, but it was 9-9 with, I believe, with about 2 minutes to go going into halftime, and Adrian Martinez gets sacked, fumbles. Illinois picks it up and runs it in for a touchdown. So it was – I'd say it was like a visually pleasing game to watch. There was a lot of, you could have played, what was the clown song? Dun, 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 dun. Like, it was a lot of things that were happening from that standpoint, but it was good to have football. And then the kind of the storyline that seemed to be developing, like, Scott Frost's team is imploding here and quickly. And then Illinois comes out and just marches all over Nebraska. And it was watching a train wreck in real time, like watching the face of Scott Frost and the fans. We haven't had a bunch of that lately, where it just shows Nebraska fans who'd made the trip, like trying to calculate in their mind money wasted, time wasted, what the next step is. It was enjoyable. Again, had it been on against any other game this coming weekend, it would have been way down the list.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's fun. But isn't this a miss to not have a premier primetime game for week 0? To just crush ratings?
Yeah, I think so.
That was the weird part about week 0 in college football this year. I'm glad it's behind us. I'm glad it has happened. Man, there's a really good article. I think it's in the Omaha newspaper. That's Bill's hometown newspaper. I feel like he reads more than any. but about how Nebraska fans might now be at the very bottom because they had always convinced themselves in their heads that Scott Frost could be the guy to get it back. And maybe now that's gone. I think Gamecock fans might be able to relate. We'll see if you think so as well. 2 more hours coming up.
This is South Carolina head women's basketball coach Lawrence Day. You're listening to the home of the Gamecocks, WNKT at the Eastover, Columbia, 107.5. Again.
Patrick Howard travels, man.
Not bad. The ride really wasn't bad. It was just long. I didn't get home till like 1:30 or 2 in the morning. I finally hit the road from Greenwood at like 5, I think. 5 p.m. So it was a long day.
No doubt, man. Impressive.
And then yesterday I did a whole lot of nothing. My parents had to go up to New York, then back yesterday. So just me and the dogs.
I was looking up the Eastern Illinois box score. I think they give up like 89 yards passing, 160 yards rushing, and they still lost.
Yeah. Well, Indiana State, it wasn't exactly a powerhouse.
They got a 75-yard pick six in the fourth quarter. That helped.
The spread on that thing was 14, though. Indiana State
Right.
was saved by 14.
Covered easily. And I would say there would be a lot of people taking, what was it? You said it was 42 or 3?
43.5.
Woo. It might be a lot of Gamecock fans taking Eastern Illinois to cover that. You guys see the story I retweeted as well about who IMG played yesterday?
I need to get into that. Patrick did some research, so I didn't necessarily believe this. I'll go back and look at your Twitter. Yeah, we need to get back into that a little bit.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit.
So what'd you find, Patrick? Or what'd you not find?
That it's not necessarily ESPN that was fooled, but this marketing company called Paragon.
Yeah.
That
only
basically
does
sets the
25
matchup.
games a year, I saw.
Yeah.
Like you're just trying to find 25 games a year, and this is one of them.
Wow.
So apparently this team lost 19-0 on Friday and then 58-0 on Sunday.
So they played Friday night and then turned around and
That's what this article says.
Wow.
Brutal, huh? Well, that's what, yeah, man. 7 straight seasons, I think, with 9 wins is what Bo Pelini had. Frank
well,
Solich,
remember Frank Solich had him in a national championship and I think was fired 2 years later.
after 9-3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see you guys were talking about it. Travis says,
Yeah.
announced concerned about player safety. It sounded like they were just angry. Can you imagine?
Oh yeah.
It was like Tom Luganbill on the call. You remember old Loogie?
Is that who's calling that?
It was him and Anish Shroff.
Anish, yeah. I like Anish.
And at one point they were like, they told us they had a bunch of Division I players here, but our research has not turned that up.
It's only the program's 3rd year in existence. They went 0-6 last year in their 2nd year as a program.
Right. Didn't hear about a game where all the refs got hurt.
Yeah, what?
Talking about, Patrick?
No, I have no idea. That would be funny though if all the refs went down.
You're sick.
They said there was a ref that had a bloody injury during the Nebraska-Illinois game.
Well, maybe that was it.
Let's go to the tape.
3 in the same game.
We're talking about I think that was the Nebraska game where the referees because Nebraska kept running pick plays across the middle.
They were getting laid out.
Huh?
Yeah,
The
one
refs
dude's
were getting
down.
laid out.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Oh,
Wait, so-
man. Yeah, he got clipped to the side of the head. I call targeting on that one.
You said 50 and 40, 58 and 43 and a half. So
Yeah.
it's like what presumed total is like what 50, basically 50 to 7, 51 to 7.
Yeah. Oh no. 43 and a half and 58.
I'm about to head back in.
So yeah, 50 to 7 is what you're right. 43 and a half.
You guys are up.
Totally agree with Josh on the Facebook live stream. Happy game week. Monday morning. Sun is rising over Lake Murray, just over Phil's shoulder. If you're checking out the live video stream on Facebook, YouTube Live, Twitter. And we've got college football for real in its entirety this weekend. Hope you're feeling good on a Monday morning. I know I am. I'm feeling, I guess, okay over the weekend. It was kind of a sneaky good weekend, Bill. You're talking about looking forward to all the college
We do
football.
have a few accidents to let you know
Nebraska,
about.
Illinois was
I-26
probably
westbound,
entertaining
yeah.
for those of us who don't mind Nebraska fans just losing their minds and feeling like the program's absolutely just at its low point and then some with Scott Frost at the helm and the loss to Illinois over the weekend. Then you had some NFL exhibition games maybe to keep you going throughout the weekend as well. Trevor Lawrence looked really good. Touchdown pass to Pharaoh Cooper yesterday. Also, the golf was absolutely bananas. The BMW Championship going 6 playoff holes, and Bryson DeChambeau and Patrick Cantlay back and forth, and clearly not big fans of each other. And I don't know if we've ever seen anything quite like that yesterday. So to me, it was that and the Little League World Series Championship yesterday with my little guys. That was kind of headlining my weekend. Bill, the golf stands out to me. What stands out to you for your weekend watching that we just saw?
Yeah, it was college football. A lot of football there, college football, and then the golf. I was thinking about kind of the dynamics of the golf yesterday and why it became such an event. One, it was good golf, but there's been a lot of playoffs this year on the PGA Tour. I think it's Bryson DeChambeau. That guy is turning into someone who can get people to tune in to the PGA Tour. And it's for him. I don't think for us it matters, but for him, it's probably not the right reason. I don't think he wants to be a villain, but he's becoming a villain. He's becoming that guy that it's very easy to root against and to turn on your TV and to say, yeah, I don't care whoever the other guy is, beat him. Patrick Cantlay is now the leader in wins on the PGA Tour for 2021. Patrick Cantlay is a very good golfer. And I'm not sure most people knew who Patrick Cantlay was yesterday. And that probably helped his reputation as much as anything, taking down Bryson DeChambeau, even though Cantlay is every bit as good a golfer. But I think it's to the point now where I'm not going to really blame DeChambeau. I do think it might be kind of funny just because I don't think that this is Patrick Reed embraces the role of being the villain, right? Patrick Reed kind of almost enjoys that. I don't think DeChambeau likes that, which makes it maybe a little bit funnier. But
then why do you keep doing things like that?
That's who he is.
Who he is.
That's who he is.
That's who he is. But you're right. He can't embrace it. I don't know if Patrick Reed really embraces it. I think it's just, with everything that has happened in his past, there's not much he can do about it. I think DeChambeau feels like it's unfairly been thrust upon him, this evil wrestler golfer role, and he's still just trying to fight it. Man, that handshake after the 6th playoff hole, and it was almost like the announcers were pulling for Cantlay, in my opinion. They were like, yeah, he's probably going to make this putt. It's 21 feet, or it's 17 and a half feet, but it's up the hill. He's already had one like it. He's been making putts all day. He's probably going to make it. And I think it's an easier putt than DeChambeau's. And he makes it clutch, and then DeChambeau misses that thing. And, you might as well not have a handshake after.
I wondered about that. I was like, can they just tip caps to each other and go in their separate directions?
That thing was just like, I do not care about you, but I know I have to do this. And they move forward. And wow. That was excellent TV for a lot of different reasons. I think the same thing with Illinois and Nebraska was excellent TV for a lot of different reasons. Wasn't excellent football. What was it, you, Bill, that said we were going to send these teams over to Ireland? And man, glad that didn't end up happening. But what would poor Irish deserve for that? Was it 2-0 after the first quarter?
Yeah, it was. It was bad. I think they might have scored. I think it might have been 6-2 because Nebraska scored right before the end of the first quarter and then promptly missed the extra point. I can't remember if they scored. It was right there, either the end of the first quarter or the very beginning of the second quarter. But yeah, it was. It was fun. It was enjoyable seeing a game where there's a lot of fans and the Brett Bielema era. There was a name there that not only has had success in college football, but also as an SEC fan, you've seen him. You saw him come to the SEC, and I think it was Spurrier. I think it was what is it, last season maybe, or not, right around close to that, where Spurrier and South Carolina went over there to Arkansas and just beat them 58-3 on homecoming, and Spurrier said, nobody wants to be beat like that on their homecoming. Spurrier had one of his better little lines, but so you saw Brett Bielema. So there was some stuff there. Scott Frost. The legend of Scott Frost right now. Just going back to, I saw Florida beat writers on Saturday tweeting like, "Oh, you Florida fans still upset that we missed on Scott Frost now? Like, are you happy that you got Dan Mullen instead of Scott Frost?" So it was just enough names to keep me entertained, as opposed to, say again, UCLA got out big early on Hawaii, and San Jose was not Fresno and Connecticut wasn't exactly going to do the job there of watching that game. So it did just enough, but the golf was fantastic. It was fun to see the back and forth. Bryson DeChambeau might be unlikable, but you also can't deny with how good of a golfer he is, Tim, because the power and the precision to hit those drives. He made one mistake and he ended up recovering from it. He hits one drive right into that creek and then knocks a wedge to within, what was it, 18 inches, I believe.
I thought for sure he was going to win after Cantley couldn't put him away on that hole.
Yeah, I really did too. I'm with you. Cantley, you felt like Cantley missed that opportunity, although I will say DeChambeau missed multiple opportunities there early on with some short putts or relatively short putts. But it was fun. And kudos to Bryson for the way he played. Patrick Cantley, again, I think people are now like, oh, did either of you, if you watched it, did either of you yesterday think, he might be in my pick to win the Masters now?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the way he putted, I think the PGA Tour is saying it's the best putting performance statistically ever. And then Bryson DeChambeau, his score was the lowest ever not to win in a PGA Tour event. Also, the fact that DeChambeau's not even talking to media that's not partnered with the PGA Tour now and refused to comment for everybody after yesterday's loss.
Would anyone defend him for saying stop walking? Because that's what started. It's just
right on the 14th.
Doesn't everybody do that?
Well,
walk around.
Everyone does walk, but you're supposed to stop and watch your playing partner hit, and you're not supposed to. Typically, you don't go too far in front of them. But we're just put on the clock. Cantley's he's like, I'm not always the fastest walker, so I was just trying to get ahead and do my part. No big deal.
Well, the question is, and I don't know the answer to this, because listening to the announcers as they were describing it, you would have thought that DeChambeau backed up, gave him the bird, and then told him to stop walking. The announcers kind of, I don't want to say they overblew it a little bit, but I think that's the question is well,
but that's what fired him up, right?
Who?
Cantley.
I think it fired up both of them. At that point, it just became more than just two guys playing golf, really good golf on a Sunday afternoon. Now, I think at that point, I was keeping an eye on it. And I don't know if people are with me on this. I was keeping an eye on it. It was on TV at the time because at that time, Miami and Cincinnati were playing a preseason game that I couldn't really get into. There was a few movies on, but I was keeping an eye on it because it was good golf, but I wasn't glued to it. And when that happened, and all of and instantly, you've got good guy versus bad guy. You've got villain versus all of a sudden what became an angel. I don't know anything about Patrick Cantley. For all I know, he kicks puppies when he goes home to warm up. I have no clue. But it instantly turned into more than a golf match. And you know what? Bryson DeChambeau didn't do it on purpose, but thank you for doing it. Not because I need people, not because I want people to hate you, but because it became such good television so quickly with him, as you pointed out. I don't know, maybe they really didn't like each other. Maybe Patrick Cantley didn't like him for the first 13 holes. Maybe he hadn't liked him for multiple years. But when that happened, the match took such a turn toward good guy versus bad guy, and it made it more entertaining. And I had my laptop on with me. I instantly moved it to the side and fixated on the golf match. And it helped that they were tremendous. I think that's one of it. It's one thing if clearly the situation got to them and they're missing greens left and right, and they're having to chip up, and they're making bogeys on the way in. They're both playing lights. Either Cantley's making these putts for par to hang in there. DeChambeau's sticking it tight and putting pressure on him. It was a lot of fun to watch from a golf perspective, but it became even more fun to watch from probably a lot of people's standpoint of like, man, you got to beat that mean guy who just yelled at the other golfer to stop walking.
That's kind of my problem with golf, because I think everyone agrees, but when you just zoom out and say, oh yeah, the golf tournament, when one guy told the other guy to stop walking, that's when it really became must watch.
Yeah.
Like that's really what did it.
On this thing, Kelly says, even my wife, who's not a golfer, watched the end of the BMW very intently yesterday. Kyle says it blew up because of who it was. Bryson DeChambeau complains about everything. Yesterday, again, was a great example of why it's easy not to like Bryson DeChambeau, because just that situation, right? It's that if there is an opportunity to get angry at someone else, right, or something else, then he'll take it. But if there's an opportunity to take the credit, I feel like he also takes that. It's fine if you're going to be angry guy, but don't be angry guy and then try to come off as nice guy and I need all the credit for being a scientist and revolutionizing the game and the whole thing. I think he just wants it both ways, and it was on display yesterday. And there are a lot of Patrick Cantlay fans. Even Cantlay had never heard Patty Ice before, and apparently like two dudes are just following around up there at the DC course, just yelling that out all weekend. And now he's got a nickname and probably more in endorsements, and goes into the Tour Championship with a few shot lead coming up this weekend.
Good weekend. And again, a lot going on, Patrick. I didn't follow I know we had some more starters named. You had a starter name for your Washington football team. But I didn't follow the storylines quite as much on preseason games this weekend. And what I do hate I missed, just because I wanted to watch it and then I got a little tied up, was the second real performance from Trevor Lawrence, which per Twitter apparently was fantastic yesterday in Dallas. And so good for him. And I still think he's super talented. I just question whether Trevor Lawrence can succeed with management and coaching around him. I think it'll speak volumes about the level of his talent if he's right now, to me, able to overcome Urban Meyer.
Well, the weird thing was, I guess this game 3 is normally a tune-up game for most people and for most teams when there's 4 preseason games and then they rest everybody. It was interesting to watch how every team handled the third preseason game very differently. Like Trevor Lawrence, I think, did look good, but he was also playing against essentially all backups. Washington named Ryan Fitzpatrick the starter. He didn't even play in the third preseason game. So everyone handled it differently. And I guess that'll be interesting to watch going forward with less preseason, see how people are going to do that. But, yeah, I think Trevor Lawrence looked good. His first career touchdown pass goes to Pharoh Cooper. Gamecock fans will always have that piece of trivia. Although if they ask you that at a trivia competition 10 years down the road, I guess that answer probably won't count, right? Because it's not a regular season game. Absolutely not.
Israel Mukwamo also with an interception in that game. He didn't pick Lawrence. It was C.J. Beathard, one of the backup quarterbacks there in Jacksonville. And you saw Gardner Minshew traded over the weekend as well. Conditional 6th-round pick, Patrick. I thought they could get a little bit more for him than I don't mind. I don't blame the Eagles for going out and kind of solidifying their quarterback situation.
It was really weird. I think Jacksonville botched that one. You spend the whole offseason trying to pipe up a quarterback competition, pumping up Gardner Minshew's stock, only to trade him for a very late day 3 pick. They got nothing for him. I think you'd want him in the building more than you'd want that conditional 6th-round pick.
But to me, this is more of a you don't have a divided locker room. You go ahead and you make the move, and it's all in on Trevor Lawrence, and there's no width of a controversy because that guy's out of there. I feel like that's what Urban Meyer was saying by making that move and only getting what they got.
Yeah, it's just nothing. Something was mismanaged. They should have been on the phone more throughout the offseason to only get that. They should have gotten like a 5th-round pick and not conditional. Like I don't know how they blew that.
Game week is here for college football and Gamecock football specifically. Their opponent already played. We'll give you the details on Eastern Illinois season opener when we come back. And who knows where else the show is going to go. 803-404-6100. If you would like to join, you can call or text. It's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game. So, Bill, I saw the tweet. How much did you actually sit around and watch Eastern Illinois and Indiana State?
First half.
Wow, strong.
Yeah, I watched the whole first half. Yeah, we gave it. I mean, after that, I'd seen everything I needed to see. It wasn't it wasn't a hang in there much longer type game.
I hear you.
I watched just enough. Their running back, looks kind of like I want to say he looks like a more of a fullback. Let's go with that.
Not a small guy, huh?
Yeah, quarterback. I do agree with Patrick. Quarterback can hurt you if you let him run around and make plays. South Carolina have to stop that. Other than that, they look like what a team who has 2 wins in the last however many games would look like. Whew, boy, the images coming back from New Orleans and off the coast they're scary.
I did see it's been downgraded now to at least a tropical storm, but
Yeah.
pretty brutal, huh? Yeah, that
is a
video of the roof just peeling off. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, made contact as a high 4, so
Right. Whoa.
Yeah, some of the pictures of the fire station. Did you see that? Where it showed like an hour before it came on, and then the flooding. It was crazy. Have y'all watched all of the Cocaine Cowboys documentary on Netflix? Have you gotten all the way through it?
Yeah.
I think I'll watch. How many episodes is it? Do you remember?
6.
Okay, I think I'm halfway through it then. Watched that last night, and the next episode of Ted Lasso. Whew, big curveball there on Ted Lasso.
Oh, at the end, I got the first 10 minutes in.
I haven't gotten there yet. Thanks for not spoiling.
Oh, Curtis, the power's not out. The power's never out here. Well, I guess it is out some.
Yep.
This is what we do. Tim likes to watch the sunrise, and I don't have a lighting
We choose
situation
the sunrise over Bill's face. I mean, to me, it's pretty obvious. We voted on it one day. I think it was 5-4. It was that close.
It was close. It was a close one. Yeah, my face versus the sunrise.
Jen just got a text about Monticello and I-20. Says it's clear now.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'll never be okay with that road being called Monticello.
Chad, 2 games in 2 years is what Eastern Illinois has won.
3 years.
Tripled that, I believe. Right?
3 years, yeah.
In 3 years. My bad.
Yeah, they were 1-11. 1-11, I think 1-5 last year. Yeah.
Was trying to figure out what the whole time clip was, and I had the headphones on for about 10 seconds, and all I heard was crowd noise.
Kick six, I think.
Patrick, what's the big deal with the what's going on with the Canadians and the Hurricanes and offering this guy a contract? And it's apparently something that's been ongoing between these two organizations for a while now. And Carolina put out a smart tweet making fun of the Canadians on Friday night or Saturday night.
Coach couldn't hear me.
It's over a 21-year-old who was originally the number 3 player in the draft, but has not been able to really catch on with the Canadians.
Well, they offered to give him an offer sheet. The Hurricanes tried to trade for him initially.
Guys, are up.
You don't have to wait until showtime. You can hit us up anytime, 24/7. The Hot Take Hotline there for you, 803-978-6654. If you need to vent, just call 978-6654. It's sponsored by Twin Peaks. For the men who never settle, go see them down in the Vista at 600 Gervais Street. I would imagine if there are any big-time Eastern Illinois football fans, they might have been a little ticked that they get, it looks like, about 150 yards more of total offense than Indiana State over the weekend, but lose the football game 26-21, the final score, a 75-yard pick six in the fourth quarter. Not going to help your case in any game. But Eastern Illinois' numbers, their quarterback goes for more than 250 yards. They got a receiver with 5 catches for 116 yards, a couple of backs that combined for more than 100 yards rushing. You throw in another guy, looks like they're up to about 130 rushing, and still can't find a way to win the football game. 2 picks and no touchdown passes from their quarterback probably didn't help on that one. And Indiana State never trailed in this game at home to Eastern Illinois, who has struggled as a program, Bill, and on the FCS level, 2 combined wins in the last couple of seasons, and now the over-under that you've seen pop up on which service was it again this morning?
Action Network Sports.
Yeah, Troy says 43.5. Wow, I thought 35 max. Yeah, so the 43.5 point spread, the Gamecocks go into their season opener that much of a favorite on Saturday night, and just kind of puts a number to how we've been talking about this preseason, knowing that Eastern Illinois kind of is where they are. And is a program that it is. And I think that Charleston Southern comparison from a couple of years ago that Ryan Helinski first start continues to be about as accurate as we could get when we're talking about opponents that the Gamecocks have played in recent memory. Bill, you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, this is, you go back and Tim, like I was talking to one of our loyal listeners, Jason Reynolds, when I was talking to him. We were tweeting at each other, maybe in an angry tone on Saturday night. But I think you go back, this is probably one of the weakest opponents South Carolina has opened up with in the last 25 or 30 years. And I mean opener. Right. South Carolina's kind of, there was a period there, Tim, where I remember South Carolina opening up against in the late 90s. I think it was like a Ball State game, maybe a Central Florida game, maybe a few others. I know Spurrier one year opened with Louisiana. Muschamp had Coastal Carolina a couple of years ago. Can you think of any others that just stand out to you? I guess maybe some people throw Southern Mississippi, the first Spurrier game against Central Florida. Can you think of any others that stand out as maybe New Mexico State?
No, because none of them are FCS opponents, right? That you
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm just going with what I think is lesser opponents, let alone an FCS opponent. And
right.
And and I know
and then you have a struggling FCS opponent.
Yeah, well, because I was going to say, most people say, well, FCS people go, we got beat by the Citadel, and I realized, but that was a really good FCS opponent, and at that point, a 3-7 South Carolina team whose coach had quit in the middle of the year. So there's a lot of different factors in that game as well. But this is an opponent that's 2 for their last 19. They're 2-17 over the last 3 years, counting Saturday night's loss. And I was going back and looking. I put it on Twitter. I think the last time they were in anything similar to the type of environment that they'll see on Saturday night, in September of 2019, they went to Indiana and got beat 52-0. This should be the game that, look, I don't think you're going there to see a great football game. You're going to experience the atmosphere of being back in the stadium, of tailgating, of taking your kids to the game, of watching the team run out to 2001. Maybe you want to see what they exactly do offensively. I believe we'll find out tomorrow. Shane Beamer will hold his weekly press conference tomorrow. We will find out the exact status of the quarterback situation, which I believe will be Zeb Nolan getting the start on Saturday night. But you're going to watch the running game, and South Carolina line up and try and run the football. It's not an opponent that should be competitive with the Gamecocks. And again, Jason Reynolds was telling me, well, South Carolina's come out in the past and been flat. Well, I've seen that. Those opponents still, even when we're talking about, as you just mentioned, New Mexico State, Louisiana, and some of Ball State. And Ball State, I think South Carolina, that was the last win before the 21-game losing streak, and I think South Carolina still won that one 31-0.
Right.
So, this is going to be a little bit different opener than South Carolina fans are accustomed to.
And I think in a good way going into this season, especially with what's happened in preseason practice with the injury to Luke Doty that has him officially questionable for this weekend. We haven't heard about him participating anywhere close to 100% in practice, which also Kevin Harris hasn't done. He hasn't participated 100% in preseason practice that we know of. The Gamecocks off today. We haven't heard anything from the weekend workouts as we sit here on a Monday morning. And then the brand new coaching staff, game number 1 as a head coach for Shane Beamer, all of that going into what we're seeing here, throwing another injury on the defensive side of the ball where probably you could say the largest concerning position in the secondary and at corner specifically. And Cam Smith has been out for most of the preseason, injured as well. You had another guy, a presumable starter coming in Kansas, freshman All-American, Ron Prunty, who transferred out of the program. So you can certainly see why that the recipe for all of this seems like a good one for Shane Beamer and company, getting an Eastern Illinois at home at night to start Gamecock football 2021 before going on the road to East Carolina and before going on the road to Georgia, the first 3 games there. We'll continue to discuss that, kick off the second half of the program as we roll on here. Also, did you guys see this? Apparently, ESPN got duped to getting a high school team to play the powerhouse of IMG Academy, and now we're not even sure it's a high school. It's a crazy story. We'll give you more details on it when we come back. It's the early game on 107.5 again.
This is South Carolina head women's basketball coach Dawn Staley, and you're listening to the home of the Gamecocks, WNKT at the Eastover, Columbia, 107.5, the game.
From the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com. Still working to clean up an earlier accident, I-26 westbound at the Peak exit, and then just up the road, I-26 westbound, just
So no exhibition games for you this weekend, Patrick?
Watching?
Yeah.
I tried to put on some whatever was on, but I didn't get to see any of the Washington game because that was Saturday night, and I pretty much checked out after that. And I had a fantasy draft yesterday, so I'm just all in on the regular season now.
Gotcha. This is a great question. Maybe we'll discuss this as well when we come back.
Yeah.
What will we really know? Well, Alan, I would say as long as a business is handled and what you want to know is that you're a physically superior team to Eastern Illinois, that you get out of this thing pretty injury-free, you get a lot of people reps, and you look like a legit SEC program playing a bad FCS team. Then I feel like you have a kind of floor. But yeah, as far as knowing at the ceiling, you're not going to know much this weekend.
Well, the fan isn't. I think the coaching staff. I mean, like Shane Beamer talking about having a preseason scrimmage. I mean,
Right.
that's essentially what this is. I mean, it's
Whoa, Jacob. Excellent game to watch.
it was entertaining. I don't 8.5 out of 10.
Maybe how it finished, right? Not the first half, surely.
8.5 is such a high ranking.
Right. You guys all in on the game one excitement.
Hey man, we were happy to see some football, some college football, where the final score mattered. What was it? The Hail Mary, Patrick, in the Jets game? Was that Friday night?
Yeah.
Friday night, the Hail Mary, and so they it's a preseason game, so they make the 2-point conversion. Like, all right, end it to tie. Everybody to the locker rooms. Good job, everybody.
I'll take that, Jacob. We will accept that moving forward.
I just think if they're going to pump up week 0, they need to give you at least one big game. Miami, Florida was great a couple years ago. Was that 3 years ago?
Well, that is an interesting. All right, you got to move this. Let's see here. That's an interest. You got an interest. Do you want, if you're a big name program, do you want a big game opening week 0 game at night, and then either a week off for opening weekend? Or a cupcake? Like, how would you want to do that?
Well, if you're playing a neutral site, I think you want all the attention to yourself, right?
I don't know.
I would think Clemson and Georgia would absolutely have loved to play yesterday or Saturday.
I don't know. It's such a big game. I don't know how much time you get. I don't know what the exact rule is on time to gear up. I think you're allowed to start maybe a week earlier. I don't know.
It's such a big game, and people are not going to be able to watch it because they're going to be watching their own team's games, but everybody wants to watch that game.
Hey, Jen, how did the NASCAR picks go? Anybody have Blaney?
Nope, should have taken him. I just thought, he's been snake bit enough that 2 in a row is hard to do, but no. So I need to double check the results, but it was a good race. People, lots of controversy. That's what you want. Should you have the last race of the regular season at the super speedway where, you can obliterate half the field with one dumb move. So. And you guys pretty much just heard blah, 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 blah. But...
Sorry, what?
Exactly. Kind of like for me being home, Did take in the NASCAR Hall of Fame this weekend. That was pretty cool. Hadn't been up there yet.
Yeah?
That was, yeah. I'd go back and spend more time. Heading back in. Guys are up.
Not just a big weekend of college football coming up, big weekend of racing over in Darlington. And listen in for your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to the Southern 500 at Darlington Raceway this Sunday. Race tickets, camping, premium parking, info all available now. DarlingtonRaceway.com with the race tickets for adults starting at $50, tickets starting at $10. Xfinity adult tickets, $35. Kids are free in select sections. Weekend camping, $80 is what that starts at. Again, that's Darlington this weekend. DarlingtonRaceway.com. All your tickets and information. So, interesting question brought up by Alan on the. Well, this is the YouTube live, is where Alan is checking us out this morning. He says, question. Really want to know is that South Carolina looks like an SEC team against a bad FCS team. And that's kind of to Alan's point. If it's a blowout, what kind of identity or hints are we really going to get about this team? I would say that's best case scenario if you don't get many and you just see a dominating performance. What about you?
I think I'm going to flip the question on what do the fans need to know or should they know after the first game? I feel like this game, and the reason I asked that is because Shane Beamer a few weeks ago, maybe even a week and a half ago, was talking about how he really is a big believer in that every team should have a preseason scrimmage to kind of get ready for the season. Look, that's right now what this is. South Carolina has to go out and win. Let's make that's goal number one, obviously, but they should. They're going to be the better team in this situation. I don't know if this was Troy, if the dates were reversed and Troy was coming in here as opposed to Eastern Illinois, we're probably talking about the game a little bit differently. Maybe I'm much more concerned about the quarterback situation and Kevin Harris likely being out and Cam Smith.
Well, the spread would probably be about 30 points different, don't you think? I mean, 43.5 is what you've looked up this morning from at least one Vegas odds maker. 43.5 the Gamecocks are favored by. I think we need to repeat that multiple times because that's not us being homers. That's somebody trying to make money off the game. They do.
Action Network Sports, and I believe, and I'll kind of go back through this. I've seen some people, reputable people, promoting them on Twitter, so that's one of the reasons I clicked on it. But anyway, I only say that because this is a game, and that's what it is. It's the equivalent of a scrimmage, of a preseason game. Now that doesn't mean you necessarily play it that way. You don't go out there and say, well, we're going to play, Marshawn Lloyd for 2 series and get him out for the game to have him ready for next week. No, you play to win the game, as Herm Edwards always likes to tell us. But I don't know if the fans learn much this weekend. What I do think is the coaching staff can learn a little bit more, seeing their guys go against a different opponent than themselves. Like, for example, Tyrese Ross is a guy who's dealt with some injuries and COVID protocol since coming from Washington State, but since being able to get on the practice field in the last 2 weeks is a name that has started to pop up more and more and more at the safety position alongside R.J. Roderick. Tyrese Ross is battling with Jalen Foster. This might give the staff, you put both of those guys out there in a live game situation against a different opponent than your own offense, and you see what they do, and you go, okay, now we know. Now, just in a game situation, Tyrese Ross is better. When the lights come on, somebody asked earlier if it's going to be a sellout. No, I don't think. I'll actually be surprised if there's more than 70,000 fans there on Saturday night. I know we're talking a lot about this. One of the reasons is the visiting seats. You got to think usually when an SEC school or Clemson comes, they fill up 6,000 to 10,000 of those seats. What do you think? Eastern Illinois is going to have 100, maybe 200 fans?
Parents and family and friends.
Yeah, it's going to be a very limited crowd from Eastern Illinois. So there's a lot of seats that typically opposing teams would fill out that is not going to happen. Probably, a good 6,000 to 7,000. And so with all that being said, now I expect 70,000. I expect it to be a good crowd, but you're going to look in the upper deck. You're going to look in those corners where usually we put the opposing fans, and they're going to be empty. It's just the way it's going to be. So with that being said, you still are going to put your players out there in a night environment where they have to run out to 2001. They get a little bit too excited. The adrenaline emotions are going early on, and they've got to settle down and play a football game, and you get to watch how they perform against a different opponent, and then you can go back and study the film and get ready for East Carolina. So as fans, no, I really don't think I'll be able to come in here on Monday morning and go, oh, man, I tell you what, this guy looks good, or that guy, if Zeb Nolan goes out and is 15 of 18 for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns, that's not going to mean a whole lot to me. If Marshawn Lloyd gets his first start ever and runs for 180 yards on 11 carries, there's not going to be a whole lot where I come in here and say, that translates to a great season because this is the opponent. The following week will be far more interesting. But I think from the coach's standpoint, yes, they have an opportunity to learn a lot about their players.
Tim and Chapin, Cool Care Heating and Air text line coming out of the Eastern Illinois game. We will not know if the Gamecocks are good, but we will know if they are bad.
This is true.
It's a little unfair, but I think I understand where he's going with that. Papa Joe says, who says we're going to beat Eastern Illinois by 50? Historically, we've always played down to our opponents. I won't believe it until I see it. Go Gamecocks. That's where Joe is. And then Jeremy says, due to Doty being out, which we aren't sure of officially yet, by the way, my guess we are really run heavy. So not sure the offense we see is what we should expect all year. So this game, I want to see us control the line of scrimmage on both sides. And that's my point, Bill. If you're looking for a game where you need to assert physical dominance, this is it by far. I mean, obviously you want to do that in every football game you can. If you can't do that against Eastern Illinois, you're not going to be able to do that against anybody else on your schedule. And so I think that is the key to look for on both sides of the ball, especially having heard Shane Beamer talk about how he feels good about both lines of scrimmage on the offensive and defensive line. And just as a heads up, Eastern Illinois losing to Indiana State in their opener over the weekend, 26-21. They did actually outgame Indiana State from the line of scrimmage, but they had 3 turnovers. I don't think Indiana State had any, including a pick six, 75 yards in the fourth quarter that helped the home team Sycamores end up with that 5-point win against Eastern Illinois.
Did I ever think that on the live stream we would have a banner that says Eastern Illinois loses to Indiana State? Like, this would never be on our radar.
From the Illinois Denson there, I know it's a worlds colliding for sure.
It is.
Footballscoop.com is where I saw this. A possibly fake high school apparently duped its way onto ESPN. That's the headline. IMG Academy, we are all familiar with. I think if you follow football, it's a football factory down in Florida that has recently welcomed a former Dutch Fork High School standout, Jalen Hyatt, or is it Devin Hyatt? I get confused. I think it's Devin, younger brother, right? My bad. Devin Hyatt went down there to play this year, playing over the weekend, Sunday, against a team called Bishop Sycamore. And the thing is, we're not sure if there's ever been a Bishop Sycamore. And from according to this article, Bishop Sycamore also played on Friday, lost a game, and then turned around on Sunday and absolutely got smashed by IMG. And the ESPN announcers called out Bishop Sycamore, basically saying that, yeah, they told us they have a bunch of Division I prospects, but we haven't been able to verify that. And we're kind of concerned for player safety in this game because the two teams were so different. I guess there is a marketing company, if you look into this article, that sets these games up for ESPN, and they're the ones to blame about just being duped into this matchup. Patrick, how does this happen?
I can't understand. Like, there's so many scouting services. Why don't they just talk to someone from like 24/7 Sports or Rivals, and they'll come back and say, yeah, I've never heard of Bishop Sycamore. There's not a single recruit in our system from Bishop Sycamore. Don't let Bishop Sycamore play in this game because they're lying to you.
Well,
it's like 2 phone calls.
No, I'm with you. That's why I don't understand some of this and why I kind of initially blew the story off when I was with ESPN back, I guess, in 09 and 10. Just because I'd gone to some football camps, just gone to football, you know, like I'd go and do scouting for them and gain information and do some recruiting stuff. There would be a conference call, and I'd have to be on one of them, even though I was never allowed to speak, that would just simply like talk about, hey, you know, who do we want to showcase this year? And most of I think it was Jerry Hamilton and J.C. Sherbert, Rusty Manziel might have been a part of that. I'm trying to think of who else was on that. And, you know, occasionally you'd have to chime in if you saw someone else. But they were trying to showcase the elite of the elite. And it would say, hey, you know, we got this guy. It's the same thing with Quinn Ewers last Thursday. You know, Quinn Ewers, number 1 quarterback, number 1 junior quarterback. They're not just showing high school games to show high school games. And I'm trying to think, like, it was Marcus Lattimore, I think, was in one of these on a Thursday night. He fumbled a couple times in 2009, I believe. Burns was playing. I can't remember who they were playing, but they were a part of it. And Lattimore was the showcase feature player in that game. Maybe somebody from Burns can remember, or somebody listening remembers that game. I think Lattimore had 2 or 3 fumbles in that game. So I'm still confused as to exactly how this happened, because usually ESPN is the one, and their network, like, they're looking for coverage. They're looking from people right now, or they're looking for inventory to put on networks. Normally they're the ones that reach out and go, hey, you know, this team, we want you to play that team on this day, and we're going to put it on this network. I don't understand the marketing code. There's a lot of new information for me to be able to process as a complete change from the way it was done 10 years ago.
And apparently this same Bishop Sycamore team played on Friday night in the state of Pennsylvania and then on Sunday in this Hall of Fame Classic over in Canton, Ohio. Just irresponsible coaches. If that is really how it went down. There's video evidence that they played on Friday. What a mess. What a weird story for sure. We need to take a quick break, get back into maybe less weird conversation when we come back. Plenty more thoughts coming in about what Gamecock football can get out of game number 1, where there's a 43.5-point spread now against Eastern Illinois for this Saturday night season opener. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
7.5 The Game. The game is on everywhere. On the air, online, on your phone.
College football season is back. That means your weekends are going to be busy. Staying up late, catching your favorite team, tailgating, then reminiscing about the big victory the following day. The question is, are you going to be ready to do that? Are you going to be too tired? You better have a great night of sleep to be able to enjoy your favorite team. And right now is the perfect time to discover the Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed. Now, during the biggest sale of the year, all beds are on sale where you can save 50% on a new limited edition smart bed plus special financing. Subject credit approval, minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details. But the deal ends today. That means you need to make the switch today. 2 Sleep Number stores to choose from. One in Irmo on Harbison Boulevard, across from Buffalo Wild Wings. The other in Columbia, 2 Notch Road, across from Sand Hills Mall. You can visit them on the web, sleepnumber.com. I put my Sleep Number setting on 65 over the weekend. Went for a firmer mattress. Got great nights of sleep. Enjoyed some college football and woke up today rested, refreshed, ready to go. You can do the same. Right now, the biggest sale of the year. All beds are on sale. Save 50% on a new limited edition smart bed plus special financing. But the deal ends today, so you don't have much more time. Make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night of sleep is truly like.
Really has things backed up. So it's going to be a while for that one. Again, it's I-26 westbound
Wow, Will, your
after
screen
the
is freaking out.
Valentine exit.
By Staples stores. Staples Connect.
I was trying to find the largest point spread. Bill, do you know what the largest point spread in college football history is?
I guess it's over 50, and I feel like it was recently, but I don't know what it is.
I mean, I don't know for certain. I haven't seen firm confirmation, but the largest one I could find was 67.5. And it covered. Oklahoma State, Savannah State, 2012.
57 and a half.
67.5. Oklahoma State won that game 84-0. Ohio State was a 53-point road favorite over Rutgers in 2019, which was the biggest road favorite ever. What was St. Thomas Aquinas? What were you asking, Bill, about St. Thomas? I know they were playing a team from Maryland.
Yeah, they played Jay Sean Barham's team. I don't know what did I say about St. Thomas? I didn't say anything about St. Thomas Aquinas.
I don't know. Somebody texted in and said St. Thomas Aquinas. I don't know what the context was.
Yeah, what did I bring up?
Did they beat St. Francis?
Yeah, they won.
Where was that team that whooped Hammond from Pennsylvania? Is that what it was?
Yeah, last year they had that
area?
receiver. I think he was going to Ohio State.
Where?
Ohio State, I think. They had the big-time receiver.
Oh, yeah. That's what it was. So it was Pittsburgh area, I think.
I have about 45 seconds.
Julian Fleming, is that the one, Bill?
30,
Yeah.
45
They
seconds.
go to Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha, Jim.
Oh, they're telling me St. Thomas Aquinas is the one that played Marcus Lattimore's team that year. Okay.
There you go.
All right, guys are up.
So with a 43.5-point spread against an Eastern Illinois team that just lost to Indiana State over the weekend, what can we get out of the season opener? Max got a good point on Twitter, Bill. He says if Marshawn Lloyd goes for 147 yards on 6 carries like Kevin Harris did against Charleston Southern, are you going to dismiss it like you did back then, or will you put a little stock into what the freshman might be able to accomplish in game number 1?
I'll dismiss it.
You'll dismiss it?
Yep.
You know what? Just to make Mac happy. No, I'll take Kevin. We'll start the Marshawn Lloyd for Heisman campaign. Kevin Harris as a starter if Lloyd runs for 147 yards on 6 carries. Completely changed my opinion.
Both you guys. Wasn't expecting that at all. Let's see if we can do better. Hour number 3 coming up.
There. Screw it.
So that means we need to come up with some over-unders to make this thing more interesting on Saturday. Individually. Maybe, Patrick, we can get into, do you still have that list that you made up the other day? The SEC over?
I do.
Nice. Let's get into that here in hour 3 at some point.
You want to pick them?
Yeah.
Oh.
Morning, Whit. River Bluff had a tough one, huh, Friday night, Alan?
Yeah, I saw that. Spring Valley got him.
Didn't know Hope was a Viking.
I did not either. So, were y'all aware of the girl Rebecca in Ted Lasso? You know what else? I think Patrick, you and I have discussed this. You know what else she played?
Mm-mm.
Her other, I guess, I'm sure she's probably had another major role, but she
She has.
was the nun. I don't what was the term in Game of Thrones? But she was the
Faith
one that
Militant.
tortured Cersei and then shamed her through the streets.
Oh, nice. Shame.
That was her. Also, looking at her in Ted Lasso, do you know how old she is?
50.
To me, you're either going to go one way or the other. I'm guessing you're going to go the other. So I'll go 57.
You're 10 years older. She's 47.
Oh wow. That seems okay. I was going extremely high.
Yeah,
Well, since he's making a point of it, it makes sense that you would shoot higher, thinking, it's gonna be like, whoa, she looks amazing.
Did that strike you as low? You think she's older?
I would have guessed mid 50s. I thought both her role on the program seemed to lend itself more to a mid 50s girl or woman, and then I just thought she would have been mid 50s. It just seemed right.
Hey Tim, for our win totals, do we need to bump everything up to a half?
Yes. We don't do ties on this show.
There are some that I actually just want to pick to land on their number.
That was a lot of acting. She's more of an actor. I never finished reading her biography last night. Not an actor, a Broadway, English Broadway.
Notice they featured her singing several times.
Yeah, she's a. Patrick, have you gotten into Hard Knocks at all, or has that just not been your?
Nope. First episode stunk, and I said, all right, I'm done. I'm over Hard Knocks.
Really?
Yeah. Cowboys aren't interesting to me. I think it's going to end up being one of their lower rated seasons. I don't think many people are into it.
Is Dallas? Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. Mark agrees. He says the next one's think it better though. Thank you, DC.
Yep, St. Thomas Aquinas for Burns.
How dare you take a phone call during this show?
A little wrong.
We're gonna have to pass a rule. When you come into the live stream, leave your cell phone with Jen.
There you
Check
go.
it out.
I promise not to change the cover picture on it or anything.
Well, I didn't say leave it unlocked.
Oh, okay. We do that to my oldest sister. She didn't know how to change the picture on the front, so I'll put something goofy on it and leave town. She's like, "What? Not that she couldn't figure it out, but kind of fun. Show a weakness. I'm gonna take advantage.
I can see that. I feel that the Jensen household is full of people terrified to show any weakness.
Maybe.
Kids growing up be like, you yell upstairs, you guys want milk in your cereal? No, we'll fix it ourselves. We've got it. No, we've got everything.
What you got for Chad there, Patrick? Gurley?
What's the question? How did Gurley get signed? Oh, maybe mid-season, but probably not. I mean, he's basically done.
That's crazy.
Someone asked earlier, is Farrah Cooper going to make the Jags? I don't think so.
Really?
He's not even listed. He's not listed as their starting return man. So.
Think what tomorrow's cut day, right?
Yep, they're going to start coming in today. Rashad Perriman got cut by the Lions. Made $2 million to get cut.
Good deal.
Good line of work.
That's what worked. Caught myself there. And producer Jennifer Jensen. We didn't run away from the challenge. We grew up. We took ownership. That's leadership. Now, here's Tim Hill and Bill Gunter on 107.5.
Yeah, that's right.
Our dual leaders of Jen Jensen and Frank Martin lead us to hour number 3 on the first Monday of game week in the 2021 season for Gamecock football. Justin on the live video stream just hit us up, says forgotten what a true game week Monday feels like. Hard to have the Monday morning blues with football here. We got the appetizer over the weekend. You got I think you have to call it an epic tragedy now at Nebraska, don't you? I mean, this thing has gone to the next level with Brett Bielema coming in as a first-year head coach at Illinois, knowing what Illinois has been recently. And they've gotten a couple of wins here and there, but obviously it wasn't enough to keep Lovie Smith around. Bielema failed in his last stop at Arkansas miserably, and now goes back to the Big Ten where he had tons of success at Wisconsin and sticks it to Nebraska game number 1. And it's not so much sticking it to Nebraska. That's probably the wrong way to put it. It's the fact that Scott Frost, after the game even, says it's the same old movie playing. And Nebraska fans have been here and done that now for seemingly a couple of decades, but are at their low point. And I think the rest of us outside of the Nebraska 2 million fans or however many they've got in their fan base, probably not many left at this point, just have no problem watching the disintegration of the Nebraska football program and seeing it happen now under the guy that they thought was going to be the savior, and back to his alma mater in Scott Frost. And a great article out there on the Omaha newspaper just talking about the program and college football in general is kind of like a family heirloom or just part of the family and the importance of it. And I think, Bill, Gamecock fans can relate. At the end of the Will Muschamp era, I feel like a lot of Gamecock fans were just kind of broken and separated from the program at a place that they hadn't been maybe for a couple of decades since the end of the Brad Scott era, or maybe ever. What do you think about the Nebraska and South Carolina comparisons as we sit here a few days before game number 1 in the 2021 season for the Gamecocks?
Well, obviously, with Nebraska, you had what, 40 years? At least 30, 40 years. When did Bob Devaney start really building Nebraska? I guess Nebraska might have even been more of a football power before the 50s, I guess. But you know, for Nebraska, it's one thing to have a really good 3-4 year run. It's another to do it for 30 or 40 years.
Oh,
And I don't know if Nebraska fans view it the way we do. You know, the way that they did it back then was a triple option offense. Incredibly tough to defend.
Isn't it? It's
They
really
would
hard.
go pluck athletes from around the country, California, Texas. They were a national brand because of being a national brand. They could get on TV easier.
Yeah.
That's not the case now. Television, you know, you don't have to.
It
If
really
mom and dad
does.
can't
I'm
come
so
see you,
disappointed.
that doesn't matter. If your game's probably going to be. I watched Eastern Illinois and Indiana State this week on ESPN Plus. You know, the
That's all you
need
need
to
to
be. Yeah, the need to be on television is not the same. It's for Nebraska, maybe more so, Tim, than any school in the country. How you did things 20, 30 years ago versus how you have to do them today is so different. I don't think you can say that for Miami. If we talk about the powers that are trying to rebuild, the Miamis, the Florida States, I think you know UCLA, you can throw them in there. I don't know if things have necessarily changed to the extent that they have for Nebraska. Miami, Florida State, you know, obviously Miami's opening the season is number 14 in the country, so you can make the case, hey, they're getting closer and closer with each passing year. But the bottom line is their recruiting base is still the same. Their conferences are still the same. Everything is there that you say, hey, look, when we did it this way 20 years ago, it's still the same. We can do that. Nebraska, I mean, again, think about that. What you had Florida State play Nebraska for a championship, and somebody's going to have to help me with this a little bit. 96, I believe, 95-ish, 96-ish. Then move forward in 2000. You've got, I think it was 2000, maybe 01. You've got Miami and Nebraska. So think about those three programs playing for championships during that period of time. And so it's 20, 25 years ago. 25 years ago, Nebraska, it was a lot easier for them to do what they were doing with a great head coach, as opposed to now trying to recruit it's going to take finding the right guy. Yes, it can happen. I'd never say, obviously the right guy can come along, but it's going to take finding the right guy. And unfortunately now through 3 years in one game, it doesn't appear that Scott Frost is the right guy.
But that's the thing. I think that Nebraska fans had convinced themselves of is that you needed a Tom Osborne type guy, and Scott Frost was that guy. Got the seal of approval from Osborne. He's going to be that guy. They could convince themselves that Frank Solich and Bo Pelini, they weren't those guys. They were all right, and they won 9 games. But the guy that was going to get them back was Scott Frost. And now you lose to Illinois in the very first game of the Brett Bielema era. And I think the point of that article from the Omaha World Herald or whatever they call it, the newspaper out there, was that that's when you can't continue to tell yourself that at this point if you're a Nebraska fan. And that's the magnitude of that loss. Not just a season opening loss, but also losing how they lost. The turnovers and the same old movie line I think that Frost used. Looked like you wanted to weigh in on this thing. I'm like Jesse, but Jesse says I was born in '96. The height of Nebraska to me is Bo Pelini. And that's kind of what you see in your lifetime, huh?
I mean, yeah, but I'm looking at the map of where Nebraska is, just trying to think of, like, strategically, how do you even go about this? Like, South Carolina, you're not always going to be able to fill your roster with kids from South Carolina, of course, but you can go to Georgia because it's right in it's in SEC territory. But if you're a Nebraska fan or a Nebraska coach, like, where are you recruiting? You can't go west to Colorado and say, yeah, come play with us. Like, the families are going to have to drive 18 hours to a game every week. You can't go to Texas because no Texas family is going to drive to Ohio State and Michigan every week. Like, you're surrounded by the Dakotas, Wyoming, and Montana, and like, where can Nebraska even build their program from? Like, you just have to almost automatically have to recruit nationally, which is just hard to do, especially when you're not a good team. Like, it really does just feel like Nebraska's doomed.
Just, you guys, I mean, Tim, you remember this, but I still, the downfall to me, or it's karma. It's almost, in a way, it's almost Tennessee-esque karma that happened prior to what happened with Tennessee firing Phil Fulmer is Nebraska getting rid of Frank Solich, a guy who, that was his alma mater. He was originally from Ohio, but had started coaching high school ball in Omaha, and basically was Mr. Nebraska. I mean, he was a guy and hand selected by Tom Osborne, and those 9-4, 12-1, 10-2, 11-2. They fell out. I was just reading, going back and reliving the history here. 2002, they went 7-7. It was the first time in 348 weeks, longest streak ever in college football, that they fell out of the top 25 rankings. They went 7-7 and then bounced back and went 9-3 in 2003, and he was fired. Didn't coach the bowl game. 58-19 overall, 33-15. He's fired, and I think they brought in the Raiders head coach, and now I'm drawing a blank on his name. Tim
Callahan.
Bill Callahan. Frank Solich would take 1 year off and go to Ohio, and I'm looking to see if he's coaching this year. I don't know if he retired or if he's still there, but in that time at Ohio, went back home. He's had two. He's been there since 2005. He's had 2 losing seasons: a 4-7 his first year and a 4-8 in his fourth year. And other than that, it's 500 or better each and every year. He's been to 11 bowl games. It's Ohio. He's gone up there and he was a good. And I feel like that's one of those karma things that comes back to bite a fan base saying we should be more than we are. And Nebraska was really good, but just as college football is evolving, getting rid of Frank Solich, I think, will always be the thing that kind of took Nebraska off the map. Went to Bill Callahan. I think from there, was it the Bo Pelini era?
Yep, and then after that, Mike Riley. And here we are.
Actually, I think it was Riley before Pelini, right?
Is that how it went? It's all a bit of a blur.
Obviously, South Carolina beat Pelini in the Capital One Bowl, so it could have been Pelini. I'll go back and look and just see what they did. But yeah, that's I don't know. It's hard to believe Nebraska will ever return to being what they were.
No doubt about it. but that was part of the first weekend story, or the headline for sure. From the Gamecock perspective, it's that the Eastern Illinois season opening opponent lost at Indiana State 26-21. They outgained the old Sycamores pretty significantly, but had 3 turnovers, including a 75-yard pick six in the fourth quarter. Indiana State never trailed in this thing. And we've got an opening line of 43.5 from the Action Sports Network as we looked it up this morning, with an over-under at 58, I think, somewhere in there. Bill, that sound right to you?
Yes, 43.5, 58.5. 58.5 is the over-under.
There you go. So that has led Alan, who just hit us up with a comment on Brett Bielema, saying, is he built for the Big Ten like Greg Schiano is to Rutgers? And I think that's a pretty fair comparison, but we're going to have to wait and see. If you just beat Nebraska Big Ten, that's not exactly crowning you a contender. And someone else hit us up and on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. This is Clinton, says UCLA is a sleeper team this year. They're going to be good. Well, they certainly look good in week 0 against Hawaii, but let's press the pause button.
I'm on hold about that one.
On
That's
that
one of those.
right.
Look, that's one of those ones. If you're just looking at the scoreboard, you say, oh, okay, yeah, and UCLA, Chip Kelly, they're kind of back. They were up big early and kind of cruised 44-10. DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, wasn't exactly impressive, and UCLA took a couple turnovers there. I'll be interested to see this weekend how exactly UCLA looks against LSU. Again, the news, I think, came out yesterday, maybe Saturday. LSU has moved. LSU football program has moved to Houston for the week, where they will prepare for this game against UCLA, and then travel out there. So the storm not affecting the preparation for LSU, and we'll kind of go from there. But yeah, DTR 10 of 20 over the weekend, 130 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Bill. Affecting it, but not keeping them from playing at this point, having relocated. They're not the only ones. The New Orleans Saints relocating over to the Dallas Cowboys practice facilities. I believe Tulane is supposed to host Oklahoma this coming week. Tulane has moved over to Birmingham, at least over the weekend, did that to continue their preparation. Hurricane Ida has been downgraded to a tropical storm, but still pretty devastating down there in the New Orleans area. I saw there was one fatality with a tree falling on a house, and it was Category 4 when it landed, and devastating as kind of predicted, unfortunately, for that area. You might have seen last night USC interim president Harris Pastides reminding Gamecock fans how good LSU was to the Carolina area of the flood a few years ago, when the Gamecocks home game against LSU got relocated out to Baton Rouge that week, and they helped raise money for victims in our area. So you can certainly expect the favor to be returned. Now, what's kind of his sentiment on Twitter yesterday, Harris Pastides, that is, and looking to do what we can for that area and all the help that will be necessary. But the football implications, it looks like those teams have been relocated and will move on. I don't know if Oklahoma will end up making the trip to Tulane, and they might have to relocate that thing, but it is just Monday, a Monday that most college football programs will take off. That's what the Gamecocks are doing. Shane Beamer will have his weekly press conference 1:15 tomorrow, and we'll get the official word, I would imagine, on a starting quarterback for the Gamecocks. A lot of question marks going into that season opener from maybe a health standpoint, or exactly who's going to play. Alan posed the question a little bit earlier, with the massive spread, knowing what Eastern Illinois is as an FCS program. What will we learn from Gamecock football? Would love to hear more of your thoughts about what you want to learn coming out of that season opener. Bill, you had one more thing you wanted to add?
I think Jim on the live stream is asking the big question. That's the question of the week. I was going to let you read it, buddy.
Are you going to tell people what?
I was going to let Tim. I thought Tim would read it. Jim says, I realize that most people are going to say, who cares as long as we win, blah, blah, blah. But do we have any idea about uniforms for the opener for the season? It's a good question. We don't right now. I think Shane's going to keep it simple. He's already said that the team doesn't need to worry about what they're wearing. They need to focus on what's important. I expect to see just the kind of almost the Spurrier era style uniforms, white Garnet White, and he, from what I understand, he may be interested in bringing back Big Game Garnet for the big games where they go all Garnet. Nah, this is what the great minds think about here when you got a 43.5 point spread. And I like Tim's point. Some over-unders on particular stats for the week.
And Scott reminds us that the Gamecocks haven't scored 43 points since Charleston Southern a couple of years ago, and that's the opponent that we can most compare to, most likely comparison to Eastern Illinois at this point on the FCS level coming into Williams-Brice Stadium. That was Ryan Helinski's debut a couple of years ago, where it was Kevin Harris kind of coming out of nowhere with 6 carries, 147 yards, and 3 touchdowns in that absolute blowout win for the Gamecocks at that point, and looking to repeat history in that way this year, specifically Saturday night, 7 o'clock kickoff. We'll get into some more of the details about what you think might happen and who's it going to end up getting some playing time, where, and how it'll all shake out as we roll on this morning. The number, if you would like to weigh in, 803-404-6100. It's the early game. It's 107.5. Football season is here. That means maybe it's the official time to get your house back in its best shape. And if you need some professional help in doing that, I have just the company for you. Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. They've come out to my house a couple of times and done an absolute great job cleaning my carpets. We cleaned an area rug for me, cleaned the tiles in both the kitchen and bathroom, gave us that nice, fresh home feel. And you can't put a price tag on that, but Zero Res does have a great deal for you right now. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, only $119, plus a free hallway when you mention me, Tim Hill. And what Zero Res will do differently than anybody else, no harsh chemicals involved in their process. It's a patented powered water cleaning system. You can learn all about those details, how they crank the pH up in the water. Go to ZeroResColumbia.com right now to find out all that information. You can also book your appointment right now, ZeroResColumbia.com, or give them a call, 803-262-4020. If you're like me, you also don't want any leftover soapy residue. That's why my carpets have stayed cleaner longer. Yours can as well. That's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. Yeah, Patrick, I'm with you. A lot of people in on the unis there. And Bill is there. Looks like Jesse is there with him. Patrick's a uniform guy, too.
Kind of. I've become less of a uniform guy.
Jacob, good call. We had Jason Seidel, the Blythewood head coach, who coached in the Charlotte area before that and coached Jalen Brooks, say that he's going to break out in game number 1 on the old text line. He hit us up.
Monday through Saturday, they're now open.
No, I didn't see that, Travis. That is
Oh, yeah, it
nuts.
flowed backwards.
Whoa.
Now, what dog is that?
This is my parents' younger dog. He had a couple doodles. She's a Brittany doodle. And the other one's a golden doodle. Reagan and Kennedy.
All
This
right.
one's Kennedy.
Love it.
Chris, also a uniform guy, as is Anthony, clearly.
Not as easy to pick up as Polly.
No. They're like 40 pounds. This is the wild one. The other one's still sleeping.
I had to take the husky to the vet Friday morning. She had this massive growth that had just come up, and it was nasty. And Anyway, it was good that we got her in when we did, because she could have ended up needing like IV this and that. Pretty gross.
Mark clearly going with more of the wide receiver mentality in football as opposed to the lineman mentality. Speaking of that, you guys see a picture of Zach Bailey over the weekend? He was styling in some sort of suit and white shoes going into his NFL game.
Nice,
Saw
missed
pop
that.
up on social media.
He's Zach with a K.
Yep, ZACK.
Yeah, just dirty white Nikes with a nice.
Oh, I didn't see that. I thought they were white dress shoes.
No, he's wearing like dirty white Nike sneakers.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa. So I don't even know where I saw that picture.
The suit is sharp.
It's now his profile pic. I see. Shoes aren't
No.
in there.
Yeah.
I see them now. I thought they were dress shoes, but you're right. I was totally wrong.
The whatever the design is, what is that? Like
I don't know what
plaid. Not plaid.
Yeah, it's not quite plaid, but it's
Checkered.
like checkerboard. Yeah. And it's obviously not pinstripe. It's kind of the combination of pinstripe and plaid, right?
Yeah. I like the suit.
I'm sure some of you fashion divas can tell us. Shane Beamer just tweeting out. There's York.
Did you see the video of Trent Dilfer?
No. What's up with Dilfer?
It's just, I think people are mad at saying he pushed one of his players. I mean, he didn't, but it's a little bit controversial. I just saw Pro Football Talk tweet about it. He basically, like, one of his players was talking back to him, and he had his shoulder pads like that, and just walked him like to the end of the bench and pushed him a little bit, threw his helmet down.
Yeah, I saw that too, Mark. That was Message Board Geniuses, I believe, that puts that out.
All right, guys are up.
Game week is here for Gamecock football. Game number 1, Saturday night, 7 o'clock. Shane Beamer just hopping on Twitter. Says he hopes it will be the biggest and best Gamecock walk ever this Saturday. 5 days until kickoff, retweeting the Gamecock football countdown. Hope your Monday's off to a good start. To me, I always tell people all the time, man, football season in Columbia is fantastic.
Yep.
And This year, it feels different with a new head coach and some new energy. I get that the Vegas over-under is 3.5, and the expectation level is low from a national and regional standpoint. To me, Bill, I think especially with Shane Beamer, the Mississippi newcomers last year on the other side of the spectrum, you get a proven commodity like Mike Leach coming into the SEC for the first time. You get a controversial guy like Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. There was a different type of buzz around those programs, and you saw mixed results, I think, in a major way. I think you saw positive results mostly from Lane Kiffin about what their expectation was. You saw Mississippi State start about as good as you could start the Mike Leach era, and then they were pretty terrible after that. And now that initial honeymoon period and excitement is over, and you're dealing with the reality of those guys leading your programs. For Shane Beamer coming in as a first-year head coach, the way that he's done it, the way that he's talked about South Carolina to Gamecock fans, I think has renewed a lot of energy, excitement, enthusiasm in a lot of ways. And now it's time to put some results beside those words and those feelings. And this is the hard part. And to me, that was the easier part with Shane Beamer's personality and who he is. And I think it's a large part of why he got the job. And now it's about proving that he was the right guy for the right job, for this job at the right time. Where are you on that?
Yeah, I will say I'll be interested to see how much patience people have with him this year. But again, some of it is how he handles when there is adversity. I think some people will be curious to see when exactly Kevin Harris comes back, because we haven't gotten a ton of detail. We just know it was a minor back procedure. The Luke Doty injury, when exactly he comes back. There's a transparency level to which I think Shane Beamer is trying to have the program at that maybe wasn't there previously, so that fans have a little bit better understanding. I think that's the worst thing, right? Is when there's no transparency, and when you overpromise and completely underdeliver, when you don't have transparency, and then you tell people before a North Carolina game in Charlotte, hey, get your popcorn, you got your ticket, you coming to the game? And I think to some extent Beamer has tried to downplay expectations when he's been asked about, well, what's a good season? He said, well, we just need to be playing better at the end of the season than we were at the beginning of the season. So I think there is an element there, but also not over-promising something where when you go to the ballpark, you're like, all right, yeah, I'm going to see this lights-out offense or this bone-crushing defense. We say that, the media says that, but I think fans, they want to hear what the coach has to say. And I think in this situation, buying yourself a little bit more time if things go a little south early on, the transparency with what Shane has tried to have early on is probably most important.
Well, there is an element, and the headlining week 0 college football news, Nebraska loses. The Scott Frost era continues to be a massive disappointment. Frost coming back was a player at Nebraska back in the Tom Osborne golden era, and having had success at Central Florida, going undefeated and the whole thing, Nebraska fans had convinced themselves that Scott Frost is going to be the guy. Gets the Nebraska program back to where it needs to be. When you lose to Brett Bielema in his opener at Illinois, that's pretty crushing. Shane Beamer was not a head coach anywhere else. It's not a former Gamecock player, but did have a hand. And I think you can argue to how much credit he deserves of the Steve Spurrier era and big-time recruits coming to Carolina, but certainly was around here and part of that era. And obviously watched his dad become a college football Hall of Famer and deserves some of that credit as well, having coached with them and been a walk-on player back in those days as to go along with that. But now you have him coming back, and you have the Gamecocks coming off. Bill, I don't know where you put this. To me, it's only that Brad Scott 1-10 season, and then because Lou Holtz went 0-11 the next year, the only reason I put it a notch below where South Carolina football has been the last couple of years with Will Muschamp. It is definitely on the valley of the roller coaster that is Gamecock football. But to me, it's a good situation to inherit because of that 3.5 number from Las Vegas, because of how the schedule sets up. And we've been talking about Eastern Illinois opening up over the weekend, losing to Indiana State 26-21. and how they've only won 2 games combined the last couple of years and really struggled. And they're an FCS team, and Vegas Action Sports puts the over-under or the line at 43.5 for the Gamecocks in game number 1, a team that hasn't scored 43 points in a while. But the expectation level for this year, I think, has been fair from a lot of people. And I think we saw – I think we actually see Gamecock fans compared maybe to other programs out there. Nebraska, number 1, maybe amongst all of them. Maybe Florida, number 2, at just being demanding to a delusional degree to some point. That Gamecock fans aren't that. They want to see improvement. They want to see the program moving in the right direction. They want to see a blowout win in game number 1 against a bad Eastern Illinois team. You want to see a win at East Carolina in week number 2. And then there's some icing on the cake game. Low expectations, I think, by a lot of people at this point going into Georgia in week 3, and then you can go down the line, right? At least beat a Tennessee, Missouri, Kentucky, one of those teams that you feel like you're in the neighborhood with in the East. Definitely take care of Vanderbilt, and then a successful season number 1 for Shane Beamer is how I see it as we sit here today. But you mentioned how he handles adversity moving forward. To me, we've already gotten a peek of that with the adversity in preseason practice, with your starting quarterback going down with a mid-foot sprain, officially questionable still for week number 1. Your star running back not being able to practice at 100% with having a minor back procedure. You're penciled in one of the obvious guys to start at corner where you really need a lot of help, and Cam Smith going down with an injury. You had a transfer, an All-American freshman coming into the program at corner who transferred right out in Karan Prunty. How Shane Beamer has handled that, I think, has been about as good as you can handle it from a public perception standpoint. So to me, I'm anticipating him handling the on-field during the season, any kind of missteps or mistakes or issues. I'm anticipating him handling that well. It's, to me, what do you see from an X's and O's standpoint? What kind of production do you get out of positions that haven't produced in the last couple of years? What are your coordinators showing? What's your offensive coordinator, Marcus Satterfield, drawing up and scheming up? And then what's he going to tell us about it afterwards? And then Clayton White on the defensive side of the ball. To me, that's, I think, going to be maybe the question mark of what pushes Gamecock fans one way or the other here to start the Shane Beamer era, whether you're feeling good about things or whether you're feeling like, hey, this is a first-year head coach that it's hard to have a lot of confidence in. So with all that being said, in the Eastern Illinois game specifically, what do you think is a number Gamecock fans can point to one way or another, besides the final score being large and a large discrepancy between the Gamecocks and Eastern Illinois? What would be one number, Bill, that you would say, hey, this is something you need to watch, and this would be a good sign for Gamecock football moving forward, taking into account what Eastern Illinois is?
You want the number?
Yes, sir. One number in your mind,
0.
that, if you will.
0 injuries.
0 points allowed. I don't think the defense, the secondary has certainly got a lot of questions to answer, and they will not be answered on Saturday night. But I think if you can shut out, I don't think people sometimes realize how hard it is to shut out an opponent, right? Like I think sometimes it's that college football PlayStation mindset or Xbox. You're like, oh yeah, I'll recruit a million great players. It's hard to record a shutout even against an FCS opponent that's this bad. And go back to that Charleston Southern game. I think Charleston Southern kicked 2 field goals in that thing. I think one was in the first half, one was in the second half. I do think that's maybe the one number where you come out of this thinking, man, Clayton White's defense. Okay, if you can shut somebody out. When was the last time South Carolina? Does anybody know? Like, we could do this as a poll question, or does anybody know the last time South Carolina recorded a shutout?
No.
Question. Nothing pops off the top of my head right now. What do you got?
I don't know. I'm looking it up. I'll give you an answer in a minute.
Okay.
I don't know. As you were asking, I was thinking, well, is there rush yards? I don't know, because then you'd be like, well, it's Eastern Illinois' defense. Is there passing yards? Eastern Illinois' defense, intercept. shutouts are hard to come by in college football. And
Right. So why would you start with that number? Is my question. I would say
because I don't know if there's
single
anything,
digits for sure.
I don't know if there's anything. 72-10. I'm sorry. 72-10 was the Charleston Southern score. I just think it's something that you actually walk away with and you go like, man, we hadn't done that in a really long time. We gave up three to Akron. 3 to Akron on December 1st appears. So that would be, of course, they didn't beat anybody, didn't hold anybody to. I don't think they've had a shutout in the Muschamp era.
No, Ace and Shane are going back to Russell Wilson and NC State 34-0 back in the day.
And that very more. I mean, think about that. That's I'm just if you want
That's
something
why,
that you
Bill,
walk.
That's a bit unrealistic going into this thing for just one number to point to. Like I would say,
But Tim, I understand
7.5.
what you're saying.
I'm with you on that.
I get what you're saying. I don't know if there's something, and maybe that's a question for later in the week, where you ask that, because we got about 15 minutes left in the program. Like, what's the one thing that you walk out of this thing going, I don't know. I'm sure there's other stuff where people will walk out and say, yeah, okay, I saw improvement. I saw a step in the right direction there. I feel like because of what we've just talked about, how hard it is to register a shutout, I feel like that might actually be the one thing. You're right. August 28th, 34-0 over NC State on a Thursday night.
And that was the one that Tommy Beecher had like 3 in the first half. Is that right?
I think it was the first quarter, but yeah, you're on that one. First quarter.
There you go. Interesting numbers popping up here.
I'm not trying to turn your argument against you and say, well, if they don't get a shutout, we all walk out angry and upset. You just ask what's the one number that I think I don't know. Maybe people will just say, well, I just want to see him go out and play with more effort and energy. Was effort and energy ever really a problem early on in the Muschamp era? When I say early on, early in the season, I get it. I get it at the end of the season when guys had quit. But I don't ever think effort and energy was the problem. Maybe you want to see handling of a play clock, or not play clock, handling of a 2-minute drill run flawlessly. Maybe that's what gives you. I don't know if there's a number because of the opponent, if that makes sense.
I have a number.
What's your number, Patrick?
All right, 494
Total offense?
rushing yards. That would be the single game record for the University of South Carolina.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a good number.
All right.
You can set that number, and then that's something. When was that record set, sir? Against who?
2019, Charleston Southern.
Charleston Southern.
493 yards, and they averaged 12.97 yards per rush in that game.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna take it a little bit further. I'm Ray on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, and I'm gonna follow his lead, but I'll give him credit for it. He says I personally think the number is 0, but you know what? He's with me on that. He says 0 as in turnovers by Carolina. I'll say it again: 0. 0 points given up, 0 significant injuries, 0 turnovers, and I think somebody else said 0 punts. I'll get on board. Like, I'm not saying it needs to be
0 penalties. No shot that happens.
Right, but you get my
passes
point,
from
right? Like
Nathan.
you get my point about James. Thank you. There it is, James. Yeah, 0. Nathan above him says 0 drop pass. I mean, I think if you say 0 and you want to put 3 or 4 small things in there that are realistic, that are and I do think a shutout is realistic. Would I bet on it? No, but I think that's a number where if you get a shutout, you come out and you go, man, okay, that's an improvement. That defensive guru guy that we had the last 5 years, he never recorded a shutout against anybody. That's a step in the right direction, huh?
Matt goes with 3 as his numbers, as in sacks. He wants to see at least 3 sacks. Interesting numbers popping up across the board there at 803-404-6100. If you'd like to get in a final word, please do that. You can call or text. Going to hear from our favorite 87-year-old caller in our dramatic conclusion of the show. That's coming up. It's the early game on 107.5 p.m. And game week is here. Get your routine going, right? Maybe you get your tailgate plans going. Maybe you've got your home setup plans going. If you're like Patrick and you're looking forward to watching Clemson and Georgia at the same time and watching Carolina, you need to have your home set up perfect. And Daniel's Fine Furniture and Bedding can help you out right now, especially with that recliner. Motion Furniture, that's their expertise. Motion Furniture, reclining love seat or sofa. You go into Daniel's near the airport, West Columbia, go check them out. And as soon as you walk in, you look to your right, you'll just see it's almost as far as the eye can see. All the recliner setup. It's more than 50. It's the leather gallery over there with the hardwood floor and the whole thing. And they encourage you, just go check them out. Go sit in them. Test them out for yourself. You can buy right off the floor at Daniel's. They'll deliver it. And as long as you're within 20 miles of the store, they'll deliver it for free. That's how it works at Daniel's. You're not in a big box store where you walk in, you're a nameless, faceless customer or just a number, and they're trying to sell you whatever the latest fad is or whatever they can make the most money off of. Daniel's wants you to be part of their family. Daniel and June Clark have been serving the Midlands for 25 years, and they want to serve you as well. Join their family. Let them be your go-to for your furniture, your bedding, whatever it is you're looking for when you're looking to save. Look for Daniel's Fine Furniture and Bedding. It's at the back of the airport, 3911 Edmond Highway, the exact address for Daniel's Fine Furniture and Bedding. Good one, Craig. Good one. Crow runs to the nub side.
No, the nub side was one of the shining moments for one last year.
RL, you're way low on that. Let's see if I can do the math. 6 carries, 147 yards. That's more than 20 yards per carry. 24 point something, basically 25 yards a carry is what Kevin Harris averaged against Charleston Southern.
24 and a half. The nub side thing was actually perfect though, because he came in he was going off the field at halftime and said we need more runs to the nub side, and was it the first play of the third quarter?
I think so.
The touchdown run to the nub side. Was it Jordan Rogers that was just freaking out?
The Northern Tool.
I think Jordan Rogers was freaking out after watching that.
Sounds right.
Yeah, wow is correct.
Single game rushing record for a player. Anyone know it?
Brandon Bennett, 233 yards,
One
292 yards,
278.
278.
Big
Who did you
game.
do it against?
It was against East Tennessee State.
Yeah, that I knew.
Jeff Grants went for 260 against Ohio in 1973.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Kevin Harris is in 5th place. His performance against Ole Miss, 243 yards last year. 1, 2, 3 of the
Well, that I
top
agree.
10. are
Patrick
Georgia.
Bowen, I agree with. Yeah, South Carolina needs to be up big early. Mark, I'm going to say Lattimore had 238 that game, but it might have been 38 carries, but I think he had 238
Nope,
What do you got?
246.
against Navy.
Wow. Good
That
guess.
is the
4-6.
4th best game. 4th best rushing performance. Number 3, Steve Wadiak, 256 against Clemson in 1950.
Oh, that's going to make Gamecock Larry happy.
The Cadillac.
Know it. Try to get his audio in here.
Rico Dowdle made the top 10 against Western Carolina.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was his first game.
Like his 3rd game, maybe 2nd game of his career. Guess I could have taken my video off for this setup. Sorry about that, guys.
Most rushing touchdowns in a game. Team and player.
That was recently set, right?
Very recently.
That was Kevin Harris, 5. Is that
5
right?
against Ole Miss. And then in a game, it's 8. That Charleston Southern game in 2019, they had 8 rushing touchdowns.
Right. Harris had 3 of them.
So 9 against 494 yards and 9 touchdowns. That's what I want.
Unfortunately, Dowdle's going to miss the season. I don't know about Feaster and Williams, and it's kind of a moot right now, Mark, because tomorrow is the day you cut down to 53.
Unfortunately for J.K. Dobbins, Williams is with the. I saw this over the weekend. I don't know if he's going to make the cut, but I think he was third string with the Ravens, and I think with Dobbins now he's got a chance to hang around.
No doubt.
The thing with these guys is it's going to be they're probably never going to hang on with one team. They're probably just going to bounce around for whatever team has an injury, and like that's just how it goes with running backs.
Is Brandon Wild still bouncing around in the league? You guys know?
I don't know when the last time he made an appearance was. Let's see. He's a free agent currently.
That means no.
Well, that's a good over-under. How many quarterbacks play Saturday night?
Oh, that is a great one. I'd say 4. 4. Put that at 4.
3.5. There you go. Remember, we got to do halves, right?
There are 4. Connor Jordan is the walk-on guy, so you're not counting Luke Doty, right? With Luke Doty, there's 5.
Well, I mean, you can throw Luke Doty in there.
Right?
You're heading back in.
Gamecock Larry is still there, right, Jen?
Yes, he is. Guys, are up.
Wanted to give you a chance to win. All you got to do is text this morning. It's a chance to get to a free trip, get down to Miami. You get flown down to Miami, hop on Chris Jericho's Rock and Wrestling Rager at Sea. It's a 5-day adventure to Grand Bahama Island, live band performances, AEW wrestling, comedy, autograph sessions, live podcasts, and more. Right now, you want to text the number 64636. Some of you guys text our text number. That's not it. You got to do a different number here. 64636 is the number. You want to text the national keyword SAIL right now to 64636. That's SAIL to 64636 for your chance to win and go all expense paid trip to Grand Bahama Island via Miami. Chris Jericho's Rock and Wrestling Rager at Sea. All right. 3, great number. How many quarterbacks will play over under is where Craig is going with. I say that you should put the number at 4. You count the walk-on Connor Jordan along with Zeb Nolan. You got the other guys involved in this thing, the transfer that I always have screwed up the name. I'm thinking of a couple of names in here, and it's Jason Brown. It took me a while to get there. I was going to say James Brown. That wouldn't have worked out well. I think we've called him Jason with a different last name a couple of times. Just shows you that he hasn't played a single down for South Carolina yet. You also got Colton Gothier, who hasn't played a single down yet coming out of high school, not to mention the starting quarterback, possibly, who's questionable right now still, in Luke Doty, and we will get an update on that coming up tomorrow at 1:15. We're assuming will be the first time we hear that, unless South Carolina puts out a release. Why they would do it on an off day today doesn't make much sense there. But I think that's a great over-under for game number 1. How many quarterbacks will play? If you get 3 and 4, certainly will be a good sign for South Carolina in a lot of ways, don't you think, Bill?
I forgot about Dak. I forgot if Dak plays, because see, I'm thinking.
Carry on, Joyner.
I'm
If you take
here,
snaps, to me, you got to play a whole drive to be a quarterback in the game.
I'm thinking Colton Gauthier, he can use this as one of his 4 redshirt games. This would be a perfect redshirt game for him. So to me, I was initially, what did I say? I said 4.5. I think I should have gone 3.5 because I was thinking all 4 quarterbacks play. So 3.5, I think, and then if you want to count Dak in, you can throw it at 4.5.
Let's hear what our favorite 87-year-old caller's got to say about it this morning. Gamecock Larry got out and about at Starwood Golf Club. Great to see you the other day, Gamecock Larry. How you feeling this morning, and what do you think?
game by the time they
45.
if they play for the FCC championship. That's about all I got to say. Enjoy talking to you guys Friday. Go Gamecocks.
Gamecock Larry, like a pro.
30.
You guys hear that? Giving us plenty of time to wrap up the show succinctly. Patrick, any words of wisdom for us?
No. We made it.
Bill,
We made
what
it.
about you?
Solid.
It's game week.
Day one's in the book.
15.
4 more. Really 3, because Friday's basically an off day.
That much closer to game number 1. Thanks for listening to the early game here on 107.5.
This is Gamecock Athletics Director Ray.
That was hilarious. No. Nah.
I was thinking about just ending it there. Nah. See how long the balls would be in between.
Just no. RL, you do as well. Chris, back at you. Thanks for joining us this morning. Yeah, Gamecock Larry, definitely focused. You can tell he's raising his level. Game week's here. I'll try to make the beginning of the show tomorrow. Mix in something different.
There you go.
So I'll plan on seeing you guys tomorrow about 6:05.